Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Get an earful of unusual nocturnal emissions with radio's Lord of Misrule, Iain Lee. No relation, thank God.
Unfiltered Night Talk with the original king of unconventional conversation.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
Oh, and look who's back, Catherine Boyle. That's all we're going to hear from her this evening, dear listener. Happy Bank Holiday, is that a thing? We were just watching that strange programme on Channel 5 where some people spend time in solitary confinement, and we were expecting it to be quite... They're only in there for 5 days. One woman buzzed out after 4.5 hours. I couldn't believe it. Good evening, dear listener. It's a bank holiday. On a bank holiday, we like to try and do things a little bit different from how we do them normally. And this time we're going to do something that we did before. The inspiration comes from the beautiful Anonymous podcast, which is a joy and a delight, and I thoroughly recommend it. We do it slightly different. The way it works tonight is, fingers crossed, the show is on for 3 hours, 10 till 1, and I would like 3 callers spread out over the 3 hours. And I'd like one caller between now and 11, a second caller between 11 and 12, and a third caller between 12 and 1. Now, people might not want to play, or the right sort of people might not want to play, and that's fine. And if people don't phone in for this, then wonderful. Okay, it was don't be afraid to fail. We'll take a punt, and we will do something different. So don't worry. So don't phone in because you're feeling sorry for me. But what I would like is, if you've never called in before, if you've only called in a few times before, I guess you're the people I'm kind of most keen to speak to. If you're a regular, you can certainly have a go, okay? And we will just chat for an hour. What's that buzzing noise? Can you hear a buzzing noise? Maybe I can't. I've got an ear infection, and I'm on antibiotics, so my ears are a little bit, and there's all kind of things. And can you hear a buzz? What's the buzz? Is it my computer? Turn the computer off? Nope. I can hear a buzz. I can hear a buzz, guys, and I don't know what it is. Isn't that funny? Anyway, let's not dwell on that. So the phone number is 0344 499 1000. 0344 499 1000 if you would like to stay on the phone for an hour, and we'll just chat. We will just chat. You don't have to have... I saw a lot of people kind of tweeting me that wanted to come on because they had an agenda. Yeah, you can call in if you've got an agenda, if there's something you want to address. But you might be sitting there at home thinking, well, I've got nothing to say for an hour. I haven't got anything to add. That's my job. That's entirely down to me to dig around and find a story. Okay, that's entirely down to me. And if the very, very worst, we will spend an hour in each other's company just chatting about I don't know what. Now here's a thing to bear in mind. It's a bank holiday in the summer, right? When huge swathes of the listenership are away. So we might not have anybody listening, if I'm completely honest. We might not have anybody listening. But have a think. If you're sat at home listening to this now, waiting for somebody else to call in, well, maybe tonight is your turn. Maybe tonight it's your chance to come on the radio and just have a chat. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Catherine is back, and so you'll get to speak to her. She will take your name and number, and she'll call you back. So the call is on us. Okay, and the kind of the idea, I've sort of had this idea floating around for a while, but where I thought that it might actually work, I had a similar idea floating around for a while, but what got me to think, actually, maybe there's something in this, is the beautiful Anonymous podcast, which I've started listening to again because we were listening to them in the run-up to going to New York, because we were hoping we get to speak to Chris Gethard, who hosts it. And then we didn't in the end. So I then stopped listening to them for a while, not out of anger or anything like that. It was just, I had other stuff to listen to. And in my attempt to try and lose some weight, I'm out walking the dog twice a day. And, so I'm listening to a lot of stuff. I downloaded a lot of stuff recently to put on my iPod. And I've been listening to the beautiful Anonymous. Now, the thing is that the person that he speaks to, he doesn't know their name or where they are or anything like that. It's, and it can be revealed if not. The trick of this is, I know the person's name and I know where they're from. And the caller that we've got between now and 11 is David, and David's in Stirling. Hey, David.
Hello, Ian. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, man. How are you doing?
I phoned you for the first time the other night there. I think it was Friday night.
You're the headphones guy.
The who?
Are you the headphones guy?
The headphones?
Oh, no, it's not. It's not you. There's an... Okay, I'm confusing you. There we go. There's a slight...
No, I was the one that says you were nuts.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. That knows that. Now, we have another Scottish gentleman who I think is from a similar area to you, because his accent is very similar.
I couldn't quite get your show.
No.
And I was asking you to tell me what your show was all about, mind. And you told me that your father's granddad was from Aberdeen.
Yeah.
And you said you couldn't understand what he was saying.
I remember it.
You remember it, right?
I do remember it.
What I was wanting to say to you about that was, you had a gentleman on after me.
Yes.
He was funny. I burst my sides laughing. But the guy had problems. And he was a genuine bloke. Mind the guy about he says who you would do. In Hollywood stars, who you would do, Steve?
Oh, yes, I remember. Here's the thing, Dave. I remember your call distinctly now, and I apologise for confusing you with someone else. I have got such a poor memory, and I've done so many of these shows. I struggle to remember what's in one show from the next.
What is it they call that when you get over a certain age?
You're just getting old. It's just getting old.
No, but they call it something.
If only we could remember. There you go, you see?
That's what it is. We can't remember what it is. Even though we know what it is. No.
We can't remember what it is. But so, how many times have you listened to the show now, then?
I'm say about 3 times now, Ian. And as I say, I'm getting into it.
Yeah?
I'm getting into what you're all about. And it's brilliant. Good on you, mate. I would like to see more of it, you know what I'm saying?
Thank
people a chance to express what they're all about.
Well, listen, here's the way it's going to work, David. You're with me until about 3 minutes to 11. I can't cut you off unless you get really offensive, which I don't think you will, but I've got to say that. If you start swearing and libeling people, then
we could have a carry on if you like.
Well, we can have a carry on, but I can't cut you off. You can hang up any time you want, yeah?
Right, that's cool.
But otherwise, we carry on talking until about 11 o'clock.
I'm actually surprised that you're saying you're not getting the callers. I didn't understand that. There's bound to be other people like myself that love good talk shows that you can have a carry on with. You can come and go with you know what I mean? I wouldn't let you just think I'm the only one.
Oh, no. Look, and let me just say, you're not. I've seen Catherine is vetting the calls today. Catherine is back. She's my producer, and goodness sake, I've missed her.
The other night there, you seem to have been cutting a lot of calls off. What was all that about?
When was this? The other night?
Friday night. There was calls coming in. You were saying were bogus calls. What was that?
Well, here's the thing. There's a great tradition, David. I want to guess your age, but I'm not totally sure that I know it. I'm going to say an age.
Right. You're going to try and offend me?
47.
Hey, that's nice. I'll take that.
Go on, how old are you?
I'm 51.
Hey, I was 4 out. That doesn't count. Wowzers. Okay.
But I'll take that. I'll take 4.
You must... I'm guessing that you have listened to a lot of kind of speech radio.
I've listened to a lot of junk,
Yeah?
For sure.
Yeah. But there used to be a great tradition in the 80s and the 90s, and a little bit in the early 2000s, of the prank call, David, where someone would phone up a radio station pretending to be someone that they weren't, and would have a little bit of fun. Nothing mean, nothing nasty, but would have a little bit of fun. One of my favourite prank calls, right, and it was my flatmate, a bloke called Justin Waite, right, and he phoned up Clive Bull on LBC, who had a pets expert on, an animal expert, right? And this is a perfect prank call. If I could ever find it, I'd play it to you guys, right? And he phoned up and he said, "I'd like to speak to your expert about goldfish. I'm having terrible..."
Is this going somewhere, eh?
Yeah. "I'm having terrible trouble with my goldfish. I put them in the tank and they just lie there and they don't move."
That's because they're dead.
Yeah. Well, the pet expert said, "Right, well, that can be lots of things. Are you feeding them the right amount? Not too much, not too little?" And my friend Justin went, "Yeah, I've checked it and I'm feeding them the right amount." Okay. "Is it the right size tank for them?" He said, "Yeah, I've measured it. It's the right size tank." This is so good.
That's weird that you're actually mentioning that, because I had...
Hang on, let me get to the end. Let me get to the end. There's a punchline.
Oh, right.
The pet expert then says, "How often are you changing the water?" And my friend Justin said, "Oh, you're supposed to put water in there, are you?" It was delicious.
No, nobody's that stupid.
No, it was a delicious prank. But no one's... The pranks we were getting on Friday were for some young men that neglected the art of humour.
I'm getting it. I know what you're saying.
Go on, I stop you, I interrupt you. Go on, what were you going to say?
I won a few goldfish at, the shows. You used to go to the shows, and you had the waltzers and all the rest of it.
The fair?
The fair, right? You just call it the fair, we called it the shows.
Do you call it the shows in Scotland?
That's just dialect, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when I was a young boy, I used to win goldfish all the time. And I used to take them home, plonk them in a bowl of water, and the next morning they were always dead.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? Right? What's happening? I can't even look after a goldfish. They chance a puppy then, eh?
Goldfish are really hard to look after, though.
No, but I didn't realise, right? You had to see the water that they were in, that they were living in. You used to have to put your water in. This was later on, I found this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you submerged it in that until the water temperature rose to what it was in their bag.
Yeah.
That's what you used to get them in, as a bag.
Yeah. I remember I won some. Me and my girlfriend Tessa won a pair of fish we called Bentley and Ace. And Ace died, and Bentley lived for about 2 years.
See, Scottish water, when you plonk them in that, it's like Arctic conditions, right?
Yeah.
Your goldfish are not used to Arctic conditions. So when I was plonking them in there, they froze to death.
They were freezing.
I
I don't think they're allowed to give away goldfish anymore, which I think is a shame.
No. Obviously, people like me were killing them.
Well,
so you know what I mean? Just young people were getting them and going like, "Aye, very good. Here we go."
It cost us about £15 to win these 2 goldfish. I remember that.
Cost you £15?
Yeah, because you had to one of the ones you had to throw a dart at something, and we kept missing. And after £15, went, "I'll just have the bloody fish."
But that was oversized playing cards you were playing darts at.
Yeah, the only serious kicking I took in my life was at a fairground.
Oh dear.
Very nasty kicking, and so I'm at the age of about 15, 16, so I'm always cautious around fairgrounds these days.
No, well, kids, don't get me wrong, I've got a son at 14, and when he went to the fairground that we had here, the shows, as we call them, he's a decent bloke, and he knows his own head. And him and his friends, who are good guys, got blamed for a big fight that happened the night before. And he went up to him and says, look, that was nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. So get your facts right before you start accusing people, you know what I mean? Which I was chuffed at him doing that. I mean, that was good for a 14-year-old boy. Nowadays, you don't get many young kids with the gumption to do that. You know what I'm saying?
What, do you mean, stick up for themselves?
Well, they seem to just want to go with the crowd, and it's not always a good thing. You know what I mean? Just going with the crowd because you can get involved in some stupid thing.
So how old's your boy?
14.
And does he live with you?
No. Me and his mother split up. But, I mean, we still got on great.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How, can I ask how long ago that was?
Well, it's funny you're saying that. Me and his mother had a good conversation today. We still got on well. But that was about 10 years ago that we split up. But we still phone each other just about every second, third day, and we have a good conversation. You know what I mean? So it's good to talk.
It is good to talk, and it's good that you do that. But that must why did you split up?
I think it was just we didn't get on. But we're together for about 30 years, and if you're not going to make it after 30 years, then what's the point? You know what I'm saying?
But that again, that seems a big call to make. 30 years down the line to say, you know what? Let's knock this one on the head.
No. We just kind of fell out of love with each other, sort of thing. Even though we still got on,
yeah,
you can fall out of love. You know what I mean? It's just a fact of life.
The first, did you move out?
Aye, yeah. But I left them with everything. They were okay for the house and all the rest of it. So
yeah,
that was cool.
The first night you slept in a different flat or house.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, man?
That was weird and wonderful, but these things hit you in life. You can't sit and go, oh, humdy-ho, what a pure life. You've just got to go on with it, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I know where you're going here, but we got on fine. Everything was fine after it, so it was cool. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that we've got that relationship. I'm glad we could be honest with each other, to be quite truthful. Rather than going through a situation with each other where you're just kidding yourselves on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's interesting you said I know where you're going with this, because I don't know where I'm going with this.
I know. Listen, you're trying to keep me here for an hour, and I'm trying to give you the material.
No, but that's called a conversation.
There's nothing deep and dark about it. What I'm saying is, I mean, I know you would love that, because that's what your show is about. It's about getting the mental side to people. And that's what I was going to say to you about that guy, Steve, right?
Yeah, I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes as you speak to me.
Very interesting caller.
Yeah.
I found him very interesting for the simple reason he done brilliant all the way through it, but he blew it in the last 4 minutes.
I don't remember the call.
Right, in the last 4 minutes he says, but it's not right if a radio programme is the end-all of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You know what I mean? But you've just phoned the guy up, trying to give him that you're going through a hard time. But you gave him a laugh as well. But you were just, at the end, you were going through a hard time. Iain says, if you want to express yourself, express yourself. Hey, tell us what's happening.
Can I pick up on something you said?
Mm-hmm.
You said the show is about, quotes, the mental side of people.
Right.
I don't know what that means.
No, but did I say that?
Yeah.
Did I say that?
Yeah, mental side of people. I wrote that down just after you said it.
Well, it's maybe people that are going through hard times and they need to release, they need to talk to somebody. I mean, Thatcher killed society, right? You know that. Society's gone nowadays.
Right, but Thatcher didn't kill it.
Oh, she's done a good job to try.
Well, no, she didn't.
I should have. You're a Thatcher supporter.
Well, you're jumping to a lot of conclusions, and most of them are wrong. But Thatcher didn't kill society. You're taking a specific quote out of context.
I'm asking your opinion.
Asking my opinion on what?
Thatcher.
Okay, but and I will give you my opinion on Thatcher, but you are referring to a specific quote that is taken out of context.
And what was the quote like?
Well, the quote about society.
It's just society doesn't exist.
Well, it's a misquote, but it's taken completely out of context. That's not what she meant.
What was it? What was it?
Well, I don't have the full context. At my fingertips, but it doesn't mean what those half a dozen words would imply they mean.
Well, put it this way, if we had a society, we wouldn't have so many lonely people.
No, I think we would.
In the world.
I think we would. I think we still would.
Do you think social media's got a part to play in that? Then?
Sorry?
Do you think social media has a part to play in that?
Go on.
No, I'm asking you.
I don't understand the question. You're not giving me enough variables to play with.
Well, social media means that people can just sit in the house and sit in their computer, watch the screen. Watch the screen give them their life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, is that explained enough for you? Or do you go into it more?
Give me the question.
I've just said to you, has social media got a part to play in people's situations in society? You know?
Well, of course, yes. So, social media has a part to play in people's situations, yes.
Right. So, what do you think we could do to rectify that?
I don't think we can do anything to rectify it. You can't go back.
Oh, I know, you're right there.
Once Pandora's box was open and all those horrid things flew out into the world, he couldn't get them again.
Do you think there's still enough people out there that actually want to meet face-to-face and read?
Oh, God, no, I don't want to meet people face-to-face. Why would anyone want to meet people face-to-face?
Because that's when you see body language, you see what people are all about.
Oh, God, no, I hate meeting people face-to-face. I find this much more intimate.
Are you antisocial?
No, but I find this much more intimate than having a face-to-face. I can be much more honest and open in this environment than I can if I'm sat opposite someone.
And why is that? Do you think they would look at you and judge you or something?
No, I'd be judging myself.
Well, maybe. Okay, I mean, that's maybe just you, but honestly, to be truthful, where I come from...
I'm always on... can I just say, hang on a second. I'm always honest and truthful on this show. Always.
Well, I never doubted that, Iain. What I'm saying is, where I come from, in Stirling, it used to be a great community here.
Yeah.
Used to be.
But what do you mean by community? Like what, like people hanging out in the pub and stuff?
Nah, but people just generally hanging out, even on the street. You just went out in the street and you hung out together.
What?
You don't see that anymore.
But when you were kids...
Yeah, well, even up to you were 16, 17
Yeah,
years
but
old.
that's what kids still go and hang out on the street together. They're still hanging outside Nissa and Happy
Not
Shopper.
as much, Iain. Not as much, mate.
Well, no, you don't. I see it.
Well, I've got a 14-year-old boy. I don't see it as much.
Well, but why would you see it?
I don't think that we try to shelter them or anything like that.
Why?
What I'm saying is, it's just not. It's no really the done thing. Now.
Why would you see it? And what are they doing instead?
They're doing instead on their PlayStation 4s
together,
with headphones on.
Yeah.
Aye.
But hang on, that's it. So hang on a minute. So 35 years ago, you were hanging on a street corner, but you want kids nowadays to be hanging on the... I remember hanging on street corners. I was bored out of my mind as a 14-year-old. It was dull. It was dull. Where should we go now? Oh, we can go to the park. You go to the park for an hour. Where should we go now? We could go and buy a bag of chips and sit outside the chip shop for an hour. You'd go and do... It was boring.
But no. Well, we always got up to something. You know what I'm saying? We were always chasing women, or you were having a wee drink.
What do you mean chasing women? You make it sound horrific.
No, but it wasn't horrific. They were chasing us as well. That was the way you lived your life. I mean, it was society. It was real.
Getting up to mischief?
Like it's virtual reality nowadays.
Getting up to mischief?
It's virtual reality nowadays.
Yes. I'll try a third time. Getting up to mischief?
No, I dare say we did, yeah.
What kind of mad stuff did you
That's
do?
what you call mischief. What do you class as mischief?
Well, you said, what do you class as mad stuff that you got up to?
We used to have a wee drink. We used to get somebody to buy you a carry out.
Right.
I used to chat up the girls.
Bit of puff?
So, what was wrong with that?
Did you have a bit of puff?
No, honestly, that was a thing we never done.
Little bit of shoplifting?
No, you mad?
Right, so you want 14-year-olds to be stood out drinking alcohol on the streets? I'd rather they were at home playing PlayStation.
It's grown up, it's party society.
No, it doesn't, but it doesn't have to. I don't want 14-year-olds out on the street drinking.
Ah, but that's because they're on nuts now, on drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you don't know that. No. They're not all on drugs. I've got great faith.
I hear what they're all about now.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Like
I've got great faith in the young generation that is coming up of 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds, right? That I am so happy that they're not standing on street corners drinking illicit booze, that they're at home playing with their friends. Fantastic.
I'm saying it's virtual reality now. It's not reality. It's virtual reality.
What is a book?
Oh, a book's brilliant.
Yeah, a book is virtual reality. And the thing about a book, only one person can do it at a time. The thing about an Xbox or a PlayStation, you can play...
nowadays.
But the thing about a PlayStation, what I'm saying is why PlayStations and Xboxes are better than books, right? A book is virtual reality. It's one person at a time. It's the most selfish...
You learn something by books. You learn how to shoot people,
It's
zombies,
the most selfish act possible, reading a book. There's nothing more selfish than it.
It's using your imagination.
And so is a PlayStation.
You're not using your imagination when it's right in your face.
Have you ever played a PlayStation?
I have.
What have you played?
Xbox. I've played that before, and it's all right. It's okay.
It's not for you. It's not built for you. You're using your imagination because you don't
need to use your imagination, mate.
David,
telling you what to do.
David, you're not. It's not telling you what to do. It's an immersive, interactive experience, okay? You don't really believe that you're a soldier going around shooting people. It's like starring in a movie. A good video game is like starring in a movie with 50... Hang on, no, because I'm going to finish the thing without you interrupting. A good video game is like starring in a movie with up to 15 of your mates playing at the same time. Wow, 16 people, all starring in a movie, all communicating, all talking, coming up with plans, coming up with strategies. Wonderful. So, the best invention of the last 100 years is the PlayStation.
I take it you're a Game Boy. Do you enjoy your games on the PS4 or whatever?
I play games from time to time.
Right.
And I have met some of the most interesting, wonderful people playing video games. I've learnt words in foreign languages simply by sitting at home with my headphones on, and you open it up, you can play with anyone around the world. Wonderful.
It hardly took you to understand Scottish or Aberdeen the other night there. So how can you say you've been talking to people with other languages? You said to me you could hardly understand your...
That was my granddad when he was pissed and I was 5.
Aye. I'm having a laugh at you.
Me too. David, stay there. Listen, I've got to take a break because I've missed one already. We're doing the show slightly differently tonight. It's a listening-only experience. 3 callers spread out over 3 hours. The first one we've got, I'm thoroughly enjoying this, is David from Stirling. We'll have more from him after this.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee.
On air and off the leash.
On Talk Radio.
By the way, guys, I don't get my news from Twitter. So don't panic. Don't panic about stuff you're reading on Twitter. We're trying something different. It may work, it may not work. Don't be afraid to fail. It's a bank holiday. It's August. Not as many people at home as we would normally have. So we're going to try and have 3 callers spread over 3 hours. And the first person that called in, the first person that passed the audition, Charles Hawtrey and the Deaf Aids, is David in Stirling. Are you a Beatles fan, David?
It's funny you mentioned that, right? I'm just new to Facebook, and I text a girl I used to go out with when I was 12-year-old. She stays in Liverpool now, right? She came up and she wanted to, you know how they want to be friends with you, right? So I says, confirm, and I gave her a text. And I was down in Liverpool a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
With me and my mates. It was a Jolly Boys day out. You know what I mean? And one of my mates, he's a mad Rolling Stones fan. So we were in the Cavern Club singing the Rolling Stones.
Uh-oh. I believe that's the equivalent of pissing on the American flag outside the White House. I don't think...
It certainly was, It was fun, though. It was great to see their reaction, you know.
I've only been to Liverpool... I've been to Liverpool twice, but once I was filming there, so we were there for an afternoon and a morning, and I went to Liverpool properly for the first time last year, and I went to the Cavern. It's not the real Cavern, it's a different one.
No,
but
I know.
But I went there, and it's one of the things that we don't do, David, is, you know, I've been to New York, and we went everywhere in New York. I've been to Japan. I went everywhere in Tokyo and Kyoto and Osaka.
Well, take the Magical Mystery Tour in Liverpool. It's brilliant.
I wanted to, but this is what we don't do.
I even spent a penny in Penny Lane. I was bursting for the toilet. I jumped over a wall in Penny Lane.
Penny in Penny Lane. I had a dump outside number 2, so we all, you know, we live in the dream. But we don't go around our own country enough.
No, that's up to yourself. It's up to you what you do.
Well, do you?
I mean, of course I do.
Well, tell me. You say of course, because I don't, and I don't think a lot of people do. Go on then. So what have you done then?
Well, in Stirling, they've got things called the ghost tours. Right?
No, hang on a minute. That's in your own. That's your own town. I'm not talking about your own town. I'm talking about going around and seeing the country.
Well, I've done. Was it 5 Munros now? 5 Munros.
5 Mungos? What's that?
Munros.
Munros?
You've never heard of Munro?
No.
It's when you climb a mountain that's over 3,000 feet.
But that's
so you get Loch Lomond.
Yeah.
You get Mount Lomond, sorry.
Yes.
Ben Nevis, all these kind of places. If you climb over a mountain that's over 3,000 feet, you've done a Munro, because it was a guy called Munro that done a lot of them. You know what I'm saying?
What did you do that for?
Because it's good. It's good fun.
Really? It sounds hideous.
Come here.
It sounds hideous.
But yeah, wimp.
Sorry?
Yeah, but did they need the mountain rescue coming up after us, like, when we went and climbed them?
When you climb one of those, do you need to have, like, crampons and stuff?
No, well, don't get me wrong. You got your Muppets who used to climb up mountains in the middle of winter.
Yeah.
With their sandals on.
Yeah.
Right.
I like those guys.
We're just asking for trouble, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But we would go on a good day when it was nice and sunny.
Yeah.
Take a good walk up a mountain. And some of them were brilliant to do. In fact, some of the old gens were passing us by, the old couples. And it's amazing how many old gens that you do get climbing these mountains. And when you get to the top, you sit and have a cigarette and just enjoy yourself. Up for a day,
you go up to climb a mountain and you spark a fag at the top.
Aye, of course you do.
Maybe
have a couple of cans, you know what I'm saying?
You still smoking? I can hear in your voice that you're still a smoker.
Aye, I still like a cigarette.
Yeah, I haven't had a smoke for 12 and a half years. Imagine that, 12 and a half years.
I just spent £50 buying one of the vape things.
Oh, you ponce.
I know, right? And do you know what the mad thing is? Right?
Yeah.
See, when you go to the pub, the young guns nowadays, they've never smoked a fag in their life, but they're smoking the vapes. I'm saying, you off your head.
I suspect that a huge number of people that smoke vapes young, they you'll go on to the fags eventually, because you always want. It's like when I started smoking fags, it was Silk Cut lights.
Yeah, you were a ponce, man.
Oh well, to start with. I remember I once had... What's the ones that used to come in the golden packet? Are they Benson and Hedges? I remember I smoked 2 Benson and Hedges in a row because it gave me a head rush.
You can hear my coughing.
Yeah. So 2 Benson and Hedges in a row because it gave me a head rush, and I thought I was gonna die.
No, Benson and Hedges, they were Full Metal Jacket.
Isn't it? But you start off smoking the Silk Cut lights, then you go to Silk Cuts, then you go to Camels, and then you kind of work your way up because you want...
They call it, is it the gateway of drugs? You know what I mean?
I don't buy this gateway drugs nonsense.
I think if you're going to do something, you'll do it.
Because here's the thing, right? It's cannabis is a gateway drug, right? Because hardly anyone has ever woken up one morning having led a completely drug and alcohol-free life, going, I'm going to try some heroin. Can we get? You start smoking a bit of weed, and then you move up to some pills, and then you're moving in those circles where someone says, "Here, do you fancy a bit of this?" And you go, yeah, sure, I'll try that.
I don't. That's going to be a life choice.
Yep.
Taking heroin, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
that's just nuts. You know what I mean?
It is nuts. I never tried heroin.
Did you try a wee spliff?
Oh yeah, I smoke weed. Yeah.
All right, there's nothing wrong with that, mate.
Listen, and again, I haven't had a drink or a drug for almost 13 years, but yeah, I smoked weed.
You've not had a drink for 13 years?
No.
Man, you must be drying. You know what I'm saying?
I can think and I can remember some things, and I'm not.
The next day you probably can't be a good drinking.
I'm not being obnoxious to friends and strangers in bars or in the street. I'm not puking up.
That's a choice as well. Being obnoxious to people, you don't need to be obnoxious.
No, but when I was drunk, I did not have that choice. That was an end result.
Yourself, without yourself. You couldn't control yourself.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, that was obviously a problem for you then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's not anymore.
Where in Scotland, if you didn't have a drink, people think there is something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that is part of the problem, that we have this image that if you don't drink, then you're a pussy.
It's just a culture in Scotland, you know what I mean?
Well, I think in England as well, possibly more in Scotland, I don't know. And it took me a long time to come to terms with the fact that some people were judging me for not having a drink, or if a joint was being passed around, I would say no thanks, and I'd get up and walk away. And it took me a long time to deal with the fact that people were judging me, but now I couldn't give a stuff. I couldn't give a stuff. It's wonderful.
Why worry? And you're not following the crowd. You're just following what you want to do yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you're saying you like a wee joint. I like a wee joint now. No, I would never have. Used to think people had a joint when I was younger as junkies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now that just seems to be the done thing everywhere. You know what I mean?
So you started.
I know where a wee cannabis plant is grown, and it's not me, but I know where one's grown.
So you started off as a teenager outside shops asking adults to buy you booze, which you drink on street corners.
It was part of a community, right?
And now you're a man in his 50s smoking weed, and you want other people to follow that life?
Oh, whoa. You let people follow what they want to do themselves.
But
right?
You'd rather kids were on street corners drinking, which is, as you've just admitted, is a gateway drug.
I would rather they went out and interacted with each other and had their own good time. That's what I'm saying. Not sitting with their heads plugged in.
Oh, you just don't understand it. You just don't understand it. You're old.
I'm not.
Well, you are. We are. We're old.
Not to understand about communicating with people.
No, but you don't understand that communication has evolved and has changed.
What they're going to want to do next is implant you with stuff. You know what I'm saying?
You know when...
and you think that'd be a good way to go ahead with the human race?
You know when they first invented steam trains?
Oh, didn't he give me that? Like, hey, listen, I've not got wooden teeth.
No, but you know when people first invented steam trains, right? And people were scared to ride on them. Do you know why?
No, because it was a future.
They thought their bodies would explode. They thought that the pressure of moving forward at about 15, 20 miles an hour would cause their bodies to explode. And now we get on a train.
But you think I'm Victorian dad or something here?
No, what I'm saying is we're old. And I don't get Snapchat, and I don't get a lot of things that young people do now. But you think back to when you were a kid, I'm sure your parents...
I do know for a fact young kids need to get out the house more.
Why?
There's no a paedophile hanging about every corner like the news tries to make it.
Well, no, there isn't a paedophile hanging about.
They're trying to make you live in fear nowadays.
Well, that's what... Hang on a minute.
Terrorist or whatever.
That's what newspapers have always done.
But they're trying to make kids live in fear.
That's what newspapers have always done.
Nah, I don't know as much as I have now. They're pushing it to the limit now.
Well, but your limit is you're saying. Right, I'm going to say something. Right, You're saying that now because you're an old man, right? And your dad would have said exactly the same thing when he was reading about the Moors murders in the Daily Mail back in the 60s. And his dad would have said the same thing about something else.
No.
And your boy in 40 years' time, will say the same. Let me finish, David. You're very rude.
Okay.
Your son in 40 years' time will say exactly the same thing about the teenagers of his generation. It's the cycle of life.
But the Moors murderers was an exception to the case. What you're hearing now, it's so prevalent. It's all the time.
No. But they're only reporting on what's happening. And the Moors murders, there are other child killers.
There's a lot of spin going on.
Sorry?
Do you not think there's a lot of spin?
I don't think newspapers are making up stories about paedophiles, no.
You're hearing in the news. I'm not talking about even newspapers, right? Newspapers are dying.
Well, no, you were talking specifically about newspapers, but you can expand it if you want.
No, I'm talking about what they're hearing in the media. The media's the news.
Well, you said newspaper. I'm going to be specific, David. You said I'm a very good listener.
Ian,
I'm a very good listener, David. Unlike you, you specifically said newspapers.
Well, what I'm saying is the news.
Okay, so you want to change the focus to the news in general. Okay, go on. So what?
So does that make a big difference, like?
Yeah, of course it does. Of course it does.
The media. What I'm saying is...
Okay, so we're not just doing the news now. We've gone from newspapers to the news, and now we're doing the whole media. So films, music, television...
A lot of it is spin.
Give me an example of... Give me an example.
People in fear that there's terrorist attacks everywhere. There's everyone... Don't frightened to go out and don't enjoy yourself. Don't go to concerts.
I'm not... Hang on a minute.
You know what I'm saying? They're trying to beat this.
Hang on.
Really...
Hang on,
really
David. I'm not afraid to go. I'm not afraid to go to concerts.
Well, that's the way they're putting fear in kids.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not. I tell you who is. Is your boy afraid?
No.
Right.
I've made sure he's not afraid. No,
thank you. Thank you. The media aren't doing it. The parents are doing it.
But that's where they're getting it from.
No. The parents are scaring their kids, not the media.
So parents are telling their kids, don't go out, don't do anything, don't try anything new.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to join this hypothesis with you, but the media isn't scaring the kids. I don't know what the media is either, really. It's quite an amorphous...
Why are the kids saying on their media? And if you look in their media, because I do check to make sure...
You keep saying media. I don't think you know what it means.
Well, why are they saying that the media is telling them that...
I don't think kids are.
You know what I'm saying?
Kids aren't. Kids aren't.
Sorry?
Kids aren't saying that.
Well, I'm seeing it.
No, you're saying that kids are saying it, and I'm telling you now... You're saying that kids are saying it, and I'm telling you now that kids are not saying it.
So, well, do you obviously speak to more kids than me?
Yeah, I probably do, actually.
Well, probably. Well, you're on a radio show, I guess. But what I'm saying is, kids shouldn't be free to go out and about and enjoy themselves.
But that's the parents that are keeping them in. Kids aren't afraid to go out. My boys are 7 and 5. They're constantly asking, can we go off and ride our bikes on our own? No. I'm making that decision. It's parents that aren't letting kids out.
In case they fall off their bike or something, they hurt themselves. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think they're too young to go out on their own on their bikes.
7 or 8, we were out in the street.
Didn't say 7 or 8. You don't listen. 7 and 5.
Oh, sorry, 7 and 5. But we were out on our bikes all day.
So was I. So was I.
So what's changed nowadays? What's the big change?
There is no big change. I'm just a different parent to the one that to my parents.
And it doesn't mean to say you're a bad parent if you let them out all day. It doesn't mean you're neglecting them or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just you're letting them live their life. You've got to let people live their life.
Isn't it interesting that you thought I was judging you as a parent?
No, I never thought that for a minute.
But you brought it up.
No, to be quite truthful, I wouldn't care if anybody judged.
But you brought it up, though, which makes me think you do care.
Ian, I know you're trying to spin it.
I'm not spinning. This is the thing. I think you're paranoid. I think you're smoking too much weed.
I've not had any weed tonight.
Well, it has an accumulative effect.
Having a conversation with you.
It has an accumulative effect. I think you're sounding paranoid. I'm not spinning anything. Here's the thing. We're just having a conversation.
Right. Well, I'm giving you my opinion. You're saying that's paranoid, so that's something.
Well, you brought up for no reason No one said anything about people who let their kids out are bad parents, but you brought that up, and I just wondered why.
No, you said to me you wouldn't allow your kids to go out, right?
Wasn't a judgment call. It was a statement of fact, wasn't a judgment call.
And I said to you, what's wrong with you, basically, that you're not allowing your kids to go out?
Oh, so you're judging
and
me.
You're saying, sorry?
Go on.
No, you tell me what you're going to say.
You're judging me.
I'm not judging you. I'm just saying,
if you phrase the question with "What's wrong with you?"
Why? I'm not judging.
You said that. Well, if you phrase the question "What's wrong with you?"
I never said. Oh.
You just did. Here's the thing. Honestly, I'm such a good.
Maybe the wrong way to describe it.
Exactly. Words are a very powerful tool.
Right. Why wouldn't you let your kids go? Sorry about that.
I've just said it's a judgment call that I've made, and I'm a different parent from mine. But you're the one who then said it doesn't make me a bad parent letting my kids out. I never said it did.
Right.
I didn't bring up the subject of bad parents. You did, and I just wondered why.
No, you care about your kids, I suppose. You're looking after their best interests for their future. You want them to have as good a future as they can, you know. You know what I mean? And what I can see so far with the media and the things that they're getting told, it's not looking too great for them. You know what I'm saying?
The media just reports on the news.
You maybe just want to change that.
Let's focus on the news. Let's focus on the news, because the media encompasses so many things I don't think you can quite comprehend. So let's focus on the news. The news reports the truth, yeah?
Does it?
Tell me when it doesn't.
Do you believe everything you read? Or do you believe everything you see in the media? Do you believe it?
Tell me something that's been reported in the news. Stop saying media, because you don't know what it means. Tell me something that's been reported.
I'm talking about the media in Britain.
You don't know what media means, David. You're using the word.
America.
You don't know what media means.
Told to believe. It's what you're getting told to believe.
Okay, tell me something that you've heard in the news that's a lie.
When you hear something on the news, you just automatically believe that.
Answer the question. Tell me something you've heard in the news that's a lie.
Well, what I generally tend to do is anything I hear from the media, from the news, I tend to think the exact opposite, because I don't believe a word they say. No, honestly, Ian, because I think things have got that bad in Britain.
What a terrifying, and I'm going to say it's sad way to live.
It's terrifying to think that you are being lied to.
Okay, so I'll ask you again for the fourth time. Give me an example of something that's been in the news that's not true.
I'm telling you, everything.
Everything on the news is not true.
You're getting lied to.
Come on, man, David!
You're getting lied to.
Everything on the news is not true.
So, people like Tony Blair.
Hang on a minute, what's he got to do with anything? He hasn't been Prime Minister for years.
Prime Minister, he was just telling people absolute lies about wars and all the rest of it.
Can you think of something this weekend you've heard?
From then? You think things have moved on?
Okay, I've got an example. So are you telling me that nobody on the South Coast inhaled some kind of fumes that made them ill? That didn't happen?
What are you talking about?
Big news story this weekend. There was a cloud descended at Margate. It was.
To be quite truthful, I don't watch the news because I just told you I think there's a pack of lies, so I don't watch it. I get my news alternative media. That's where I get my news from. People are actually going to tell me.
Now we're getting somewhere. So you get your news from? Can I hazard a guess? The internet.
Right, and what would be the show?
I don't know what the show is, but here's the thing.
The Rich Allen Show, you heard of that?
Here's the thing, right?
Have you heard of the Rich Allen Show?
Anybody can put stuff on the internet. Not everybody.
Make your own mind up.
Not everybody can get a headline on the BBC News at 10.
Mark, come on, you kidding me? They're just getting news feed. They're getting told what to say. Do you think that's reality?
No, they've got some wonderful, wonderful journalists that go out and investigate stories.
They're all getting paid off by the same paymasters, you know what I'm saying?
Who are this is great, we've only got 4 minutes to go. Who are the paymasters?
The people are in charge. That's obviously who the paymasters are.
Well, who are they?
We're not in charge of things. I don't know. They're the dark society.
The dark society?
We aren't the paymasters. They are. And
so who's controlling me? Because I'm the, in inverted commas, media. Who's controlling me?
This is why I phoned your show, Ian, because I love that you're open and you can be honest.
Well, maybe I'm being told to say this by my dark masters.
But but you're allowing people to say how they feel. That's the beauty of your show. You know what I'm saying? Even you speak to George Galloway, talk to him. He knows what the score is. You know what I'm saying? And you're not trying to tell me George is being controlled by somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hang on a minute, George. You know who owns this radio station? Do you know who owns this radio station?
I don't know.
Have it. You're going to love it when you find out.
Mm-hmm.
Have a guess who owns this radio station now. Have a guess.
No, Rupert Murdoch.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. So Rupert Murdoch pays George Galloway's wages.
No, is it?
Do you want to have another little think about what you've just said?
Is it Rupert Murdoch owns a radio station? That's what I'm asking you, is it?
I've told you the answer.
You've not told me. You just let me make my own opinion. You've not told me.
If you read the papers, then you'd know that, yeah, Rupert Murdoch owns Talk Radio. So how do you feel about my output and George's output now? Because surely he's one of the biggest dark masters in the world, isn't he?
He is. Oh, definitely. I didn't know that, Ian. I didn't know that. You're learning something every day.
Isn't it?
And I'm very surprised that George has been given a voice. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but maybe Rupert phones him up. George is on 7 till 10 on Fridays, maybe at 6 o'clock, because often when I come in early, George is on the phone to someone.
I've listened to George for the last 2 years. He's brilliant.
He's never mentioned that, has he?
No, because you can ask George a question and he'll give you a decent answer.
Well, as long as it's approved by his dark master.
Well, obviously, he must be...
He's the exception. He's the exception.
Aye, obviously, must be.
Hey, David, listen, we've got to go. I've really enjoyed this hour. Thank you, mate.
No, well, I hope I've not peeved you off too much.
Oh, God, no, not at all. I've loved every second of it.
No, nice one, Ian. No, I like your show, mate.
Cheers, man.
We'll keep listening.
We'll speak again soon. Take care.
Thank you.
There we go.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. I enjoyed that. One down. Anyone else want to play? I enjoyed that a lot. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. It doesn't have to be confrontational. It doesn't have to be, who's tweeting, I'm going on the radio, tune in to Iain Lee in about 10 minutes. Is he? Oh, have you got one? Oh, I won't give out the number. Oh, beautiful. If we've got one then, perfect. Lovely. In that case, put your phones down. We don't need anyone this hour. This is how good Catherine is. She's efficient. We're trying something a bit different. And all those that bailed out in the first 15, 20 minutes, sometimes you've got to wait. Panning for gold. You don't get the gold immediately. You've got to stay there for a bit and you've got to keep on panning. This is the late night alternative. My name is Iain Lee. This is Talk Radio.
Talk Radio.
The phone down, guys. We're sorted for the next hour. We've got a bloke called Mark coming on. I'm looking forward to this. So we'll spend an hour in Mark's company and see where that conversation goes, shall we? I'm Iain Lee. This is the late night alternative, a slightly different one. You're listening, of course, to Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Take a far-out trip into the twilight zone of late-night radio with Iain Doo-Doo-Doo-Doo-Doo-Doo-Doo.
Unmissable late-night radio with the original king of unconventional conversation.
Make contact with Iain Lee. The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
I seem to be involved in a conversation on Twitter, and I've got no idea what it's about. I've got no idea what they're talking about whatsoever. Here's my new thing. Good evening, dear listener. Iain Lee, late night alternative, slightly different one. 3 calls over 3 hours. Let's just dive straight in. Evening, Mark.
Hello.
I'll talk to you. Here's my new bugbear at the moment, right?
Yeah. It's
being involved in like sort of long Twitter threads, and I don't know why, but it just really gets on my wick. And I'm in one now, and I don't know. I've not seen the first tweet, so I don't know what it's about. And it's people joshing and listen, man. Hey, man, I'm not against people joshing around and having fun. Of course not. But I just being involved in long Twitter conversations with people that actually I don't want to be a part of.
Well, the thing is, I know, like, from when Kath was tweeting out saying that she wanted, people to come call in and speak to you.
Yeah.
That because you were in that you were mentioned in that first tweet, and I replied to her. So I think I was replying to you as well. So I know that happens, doesn't it? But you can't opt out of that. That's the thing that annoys me.
You can't now. You used to be able to, didn't you?
Yeah. It seems to now be once you're in this thing, it's like a hamster's wheel, and you can't get out of it.
Look, I'm in a conversation with 42 people. And do I do the thing? And I've done it a few times, and I've always felt a bit, what's the fella? Scrooge doing it. Do I say, guys, can you keep me out of this? Or is that mean? I can do that, can't I?
Mean. I think if you can put something on there, can't you? You can just say, look, this is great. You can carry on the conversation, but if you could just untag me or whatever the word is,
How does this sound? Guys, can you remove me from this, please?
Yeah, that's polite.
It's polite and it's to the point, and they'll probably think I'm a miserable old git. But
no,
it's done now.
They'll understand.
It's done now. But the thing is, they won't. They won't. I've done that with people, and they've just said, "I've just got 2 more points to make," and then and it's just flip it. How do you deal with Twitter, Mark?
How do I do it? Well, obviously, I'm never in a conversation with 42 people once.
No. That's a first for me. It's a first for me.
Likes, I'm happy with that. But I must admit, I don't use it as much these days as I used to. I used to be on it all the time, but now I dip into it a few times a day. But,
only a few times a day?
Only a few times a day.
How do you? And I've made a real pointed effort of the last few days, sort of Friday, Saturday and Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday and today, of not tweeting very much. Just tweeted a couple of links to some tickets when I was doing the show yesterday. Tweeted, blah, 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 blah. And I must admit, I felt. How did I feel? I'm trying to think, Mark, how I felt.
How did you feel?
Clearer. I felt clearer.
Yeah. Well, I think the reason I've sort of not on it as much as I used to be is I remember getting on it years and years ago. I mean, we're talking maybe 8 years ago when it first became really popular, and Stephen Fry, it was the first person I heard mention it on TV, and then Richard Bacon on another radio channel. And that was when I got into it then. But I wasn't on Facebook until about 3 years ago. I'm 44, and I only got Facebook 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago maximum. So to me, Facebook is really kind of still quite new and still a way of, I'm still finding old school friends and things like that from years ago. So that to me is something that I probably spend a lot more time on these days than many other people, because they did the Facebook thing years ago when it came out, but I was really late to that party. So.
I don't do Facebook in the way that Facebook is meant to be, in that I've got a couple of pages on there. I've kind of got the Iain Lee page, which is, I hate to say the phrase, but I'm going to say it because it's a shorthand we all understand. The fan page, and I do a couple of music things. I've got those, but to have those facilities, and I really looked into this, you've got to have a personal Facebook page. And so I've got a personal Facebook page, and I've got maybe 7 or 8 friends. One of them is Kath. The others, I think, are primarily American people that are sort of connected with the music thing I do. But I hardly ever post updates. I don't post updates on there. I don't post pictures of my kids. I certainly don't post pictures of food I'm eating.
No.
I don't do any of that. And I don't feel any less of a human being because of it.
No, I suppose it ticks different boxes for different people, doesn't it? I've got my family now all live up in Northamptonshire, and I don't really see a great deal of them. So for them, it's a way for them to see what I'm up to and what I'm doing. And I do post the odd picture of my kids, but I mean, it might be sort of, once a month, something like that. And if we're doing something a little bit out of the ordinary or something, certainly not, I've got people that I know and relatives that I know that have got, little nieces and nephews and things like that. And they're, toddlers.
Yeah.
And you could take the photos off their Facebook and make it into a Flickr book of their life, where you're just flicking through it and you see every day that, here they are eating this, here they are sat in this chair. Yeah. And it's like, oh, please, come on.
We take too many pictures of our kids.
Yeah.
I really believe this. I'm guilty of it, but we take too many pictures. You know, before you get a film of 24 or 36. And I'm not saying the old days are better. Of course not. You know, there was good about the old days, but there was also the 70s and the 80s were pretty crap as far as I can remember. So that, you know, now is better, but I think one of the things is we've lost the value of a photograph. Doesn't mean anything anymore.
No, I've just started doing the. I get like the emails every day from like Groupon and stuff like that, and that's the first thing I do every day: is delete half a dozen emails from Groupon or anything like that.
Oh, I was with Groupon for about 3 months, and I just after 3 months I thought, do you know what? I don't want to go to any spa centres, and so I unsubscribed to that.
Yeah, well, every now and then, though, they come up with you can get, 300 prints for £3. Oh. So I keep that, and more as a reminder, so I can then go, right, I'm going to go onto that photo website and download the last 300 prints that I've made on my phone. So, or, I select them, I don't print off every single one of them. But at least then I know I've now got, for the past sort of like year and a half, I've been printing them off. Because I know that there's a period of like, maybe 3 years ago, my kids are 6 and 9. There's a period there where I've got photos that must be in various old phones and stuff like that, and probably haven't got that many printed out from their sort of toddler years.
No.
But so I really make a point of doing it. So yeah, I haven't deleted the Groupon thing or unsubscribed, mainly for that, as a reminder to get some actual photos, physical printed photos made.
Final thing about I've closed my computer now because it's annoying me because people are now going, haha, no one gets out of this thread alive. So I've just replied, I'm going to have to mute you all.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to do. I've closed the computer, and when I open it, I'm just going to mute, and I don't want to do that, but I'm going to mute everyone. I don't want to be involved in this, in their life. Your kid, how old are your kids? Did you say 6 and 9?
6 and 9, yeah, two girls.
How are you finding it, man?
Well, I'm a single dad. So it's I love it. My eldest daughter Poppy, she's 9, just turned 9, and she said to me about 6 months ago that I'm probably more of a mum than a dad anyway. I'm the one that makes sure that they've got their PE kit, and and I've been able to have them for summer holidays during the days and stuff. I have them every day during the summer holidays, pretty much, and then sort of half the night. So, yeah, it's hard work, and I don't have them tonight. It's the first night for a few nights that I've not had them. And, yeah, I must admit, I was quite looking forward to having a child-free night.
Yeah. Oh, and there's no shame in that. There's no shame in enjoying... my family went away for a week last week, and there were moments throughout the week when I missed the boys. Of course there were, but I enjoyed it more... than I miss them, and because it's so exhausting. It's exhausting.
It is
looking after kids.
Just simple little thing like this morning. Trying to, I knew that I was going to be dropping them off at their mum's this morning, and trying to sort of save a bit of time because we were out quite late last night. I was out quite late with the girls last night. So I asked my eldest, could she pour the milk in the cereal for the 6-year-old, So in asking to do that, somehow a glass of water just got spilt on the kitchen sideboard.
Of course
and it's a typical kitchen sideboard where there was like receipts and stuff like that I'd just taken out my wallet to put away. So all of that, just trying to save a bit of time by asking my eldest daughter to do that, actually ended up taking about, an hour just to tidy that all up. And then when I've got back in this evening, to pick up all these receipts that are lying around everywhere that I've been trying to dry out today and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's just those tiny little things that you think, well, I'll try and save a bit of time here. But it doesn't. It ends up taking more time or, it's...
you cannot...
I don't want to wish the time away.
No.
But I'll be glad when those little accidents start happening.
Because we both know, right, that within the blink of an eye, you're going to be walking them down the aisle...
Yeah.
Because my boys are 7 and 5, so similar.
Yeah.
And it's literally seems like 2 weeks ago that they were babies.
Yeah.
Literally, like, it feels like 2 weeks ago that they were actually babies. And now they're 7 and 5. They're young men.
Oh, no, I heard my 6-year-old in the car yesterday mentioning about Snoop Dogg. They found a video on Facebook, and it was like a Peppa Pig video, not on Facebook, on YouTube, sorry.
Yeah.
There's a Peppa Pig video that someone had overdubbed it, put a new soundtrack to it, and they were talking about, instead of George having his dinosaur, George had a little pet Snoop Dogg.
Oh,
thing.
gosh.
And so they'd superimpose some kind of Snoop Dogg's head on this dinosaur thing on the cartoon. So I've got this 6-year-old talking about no, that's when they talk about Snoop Dogg, and they're saying the words to it, and it's. I'm quite liberal. I'm quite open with what they talk about, but you've got no control, have you, these days? I mean, you have, but it's really hard to control everything.
Well, no, you could. It kind of goes back to what we were saying, what David and I were talking about. It is harder to control. It's 7 and 5. I can pretty much keep a handle on it because I've got, the Xbox. They use that, but I've got that kind of age locked, so they can't go off and do all kinds of stuff, and they know not to buy games, and I don't let them use my phone to dick around with, So, but everything is everywhere. My great fear, Mark, and I've said this before. My great fear is when the boys discover. Pornography on the telephone when they not my pornography, but I'm so worried, as you must be for your daughters, but in a different way. I am so worried about the impacts, the ease of access to really freaky, hardcore stuff, the impact it's going to have on my boys mentally, physically, in terms of how they see women, in terms of how they see sex, in terms of how they see themselves and their own bodies. It terrifies me, man.
Yeah, and it's, as you say, it's going to be from a completely different angle, having 2 daughters, and already there are things that they see now, and they ask questions, and my 9-year-old, for a good few years now, she was asking me, last year, just before the summer holidays last year, she had to do a topic at school. All year, every month they do a different topic, dinosaurs, transport, stuff like that. For the last one of the term, they can choose anything they like. She loves rock music.
No.
So she put that, she wanted to do a thing about rock music. So she asked me to show her some classic rock stuff. So I was showing her, and she said, are there no sort of female rock, singers and stuff like that? And I was, partly my own sort of, very narrow view of it, I guess, but it was great that she was asking that, and I let her sort of research it and look into it and things like that. And she ended up sort of schooling me on some sort of various newer female rock bands and rock singers and stuff like that. It was great, but things like that where it's, you put on a classic rock show or channel or something like that, and it is mainly they'll be showing the men, even like things like the boxing on Saturday night. I didn't watch it, I had it on the radio, but someone the next day on Twitter, I think, put, what. Do we still have these like ring card girls that get up in their bikinis and bits and pieces hanging out? What if I say to the girls, look, this was a big event. I like my girls to see lots of big events and stuff like that, and experience all these kind of things. Well, if they see that and they go, well, why is that happening in an age? Why, or in any day and age? Why are we allowing a woman to get up in a bikini and hold a big number 3 for the third round up in the air?
I am a big fan, Mark, of rock autobiographies. It's pretty much all I read, right? Books about or by rock stars, right? I love it. And so I've read a lot of stories of debauchery and drugging and groupies and all that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And we've been sent a book. Been sent 2 copies of a book as a potential guest, right? It's a drummer. It's an autobiography of a drummer called Carmine Appice, or Carmine Appice, right? Yeah. And he's an American drummer. He was in a group called Vanilla Fudge, and he was in Rod Stewart's group for years, and he co-wrote If You Think I'm Sexy for Rod Stewart, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm reading this book. I was quite excited about this book. Didn't know a lot about this guy, and I thought, well, I'll read this. And I came in tonight to see Kath, and I said, Kath, I've not even got halfway through this book. I don't want this man on the show. And she's like, why not? I said, he's writing about sexual assault. He's writing about sexual assault. And a lot of the stories, the woman, these like groupie sessions, right? A lot of the stories, the women are complicit and are giving their consent, all right? So, but in some of them, they're not. And in some of them, in one in particular, very famous story that involves him and Led Zeppelin and Fish. I'm not going to go any further, right? Because it's a bit of a ho-ho-ho. But actually, in some of them, it is nothing more than a disgusting and degrading abuse of position and power over some poor girl who's clearly completely mixed up, right? It is an awful story, and I read it to Catherine, right? Not for titillation, but I said, this is why I don't want this bloke on the show. And, and part of me is thinking, I'm wondering if it's because I am a dad now and my boys are of an age actually reading about this stuff. And the Billy Idol book that I did enjoy, but there were some stories in there. I don't want my boys to look at women as vessels for their, depraved pleasure.
Yeah, I totally get that now. My two, they're like Little Mix, for a few years now. They're both like those. Managed to get tickets about a year ago for the concerts that they've got coming up in October at the O2.
Yeah.
And
shout out to my ex! That's him, isn't it?
Yeah. And since then, they've really upped the ante with their sort of sexual moves and stuff like that, and they're really high-cut kind of leotards would be the word I was using.
Well, yes, but you don't get leotards made out of PVC and leather. That's the...
Exactly, yeah, and I'm quite glad. I think I got, like, the last 3 tickets together in the venue, like the very back row of the O2.
Yeah.
And I'm quite glad that we're not, literally, it's not right in our faces,
Well...
So, again, it comes back to what I said about I want them to experience events and things like that. You know? And hopefully they'll go along and they'll see, right, now we can see the whole audience enjoying themselves. So the spectacle won't just be what the group are getting up to on stage. And
have you been to the O2 before?
Yeah, I've been.
Because they generally have massive screens as well.
I know, but I'm hoping that everything else that's going on with all the...
Little Mix really disappointed me. And again, we're old men, Mark, so they're not for us, but Little Mix really disappointed me because I do think they dress inappropriately for a band that primarily appeals to 12, 13, 14-year-old girls. And
they did for that Manchester gig, didn't they? I mean, that was...
Oh, I didn't see it, did they?
For the... who's the lady whose gig it was?
Ariana Grande.
Yeah. So when she had that sort of charity gig and the benefit gig a few weeks afterwards, and everyone else was coming out in their just jeans and sweatshirts with the logo on.
They were all dressed down, were they?
And then suddenly they came on in their normal stage gear. And as you say, I kind of feel a bit like an old man saying it, but, and I know it's not for me. I know it's not aimed at me, you know, any kind of titillation for a 44-year-old man, but... Yeah, it was just like, whoa, that's just inappropriate for the occasion. Fair enough. You know you're going to get some artists going on there because it's going to make them look good. I know that's quite a cynical sort of point of view, but to go on there and really flaunt their sexuality and their, microscopic stage costumes, I thought was really inappropriate for that specific occasion.
Here's how it works, Mark. You can hang up at any time. I can't cut you off until we get closer to midnight and we have to go to the ads and stuff. I might ask you stuff that you don't want to talk about and that you don't have to. That's absolutely fine to say, I don't want to answer that. But there's been a question that's been niggling in the back of my brain for the last 10, 15 minutes. Why are you a single dad?
So it was about 3.5 years ago. My ex-wife and I, and it's amicable between my ex-wife and I, we were thinking of moving from where we lived at the time, which was Ickenham in Middlesex. I don't know if you know, it's nearby.
I see the sign for Ickenham quite a lot, but I've never known where it is.
Yeah, so it's in between sort of Uxbridge and Ruislip.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, at the end of the Piccadilly line, or just before the end of the Piccadilly line, and the Central line has got West Ruislip, both equally sort of 10 minutes walk off.
By the way, guys, if you've never... The outer edges of the London Underground lines, they're weird places, man. They're
weird, but there's so much going on there.
Well, but when you get the tube, and I think it is the Piccadilly line, when you're coming out of London, and then everything just sort of changes, and you're still on the tube. It's very strange.
Yeah, I know, but you see on the Central line, I saw it today because I went down to the Notting Hill Carnival this morning for a little while, and you see as soon as the train comes out from between Shepherd's Bush and White City, that's it. Everyone's sitting there kind of twiddling their thumbs. As
Yeah.
soon as that happens, because you're out of the tube, the actual underground part,
Yeah.
all of a sudden the phones come out of the pockets and people start looking at their phones again straight away, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we lived in Ickenham. We thought we'd like to move down to the New Forest, to Norfolk-on-Sea, which is, as I say, it's on sea, obviously, and it's right on the edge of the New Forest.
Yeah.
We've been down there lots of times for holiday.
Let's make a move to the place we had a holiday. That's always...
Well, yeah, we were looking for like a change and stuff like that. And then on the school run, for 2 mornings running, I had a different mum, 2 different separate days, just after the Christmas. So, 3.5 years ago, a mum said, "Oh, I hear that your ex has gone off the idea of moving down there now." I said, "No, she only went down to have a look yesterday, or 2 days ago or whatever, to this place that we'd found." And then I just passed it off as being, miscommunication or something. And then the next day, another mum said it. Exactly the same sort of thing. So I sat there at dinner that night. I said, "Oh, what's this?" So-and-so said, that the idea, what's the problem? And up until then, we'd always spoke about absolutely everything. We'd never had a row, disagreed about the odd thing, but we'd never argued, never raised voices. We always did the pros and cons of me taking a new job or something like that, you know. And so I said, "Well, come and tell me what it's about. And when I'm giving the girls their bath and putting them to bed, I can have a think about it and we can do one of our lists." And she wouldn't say it at first.
One of your lists?
One of our lists of like pros and cons of moving,
I'm quite new to the pros and cons lists, right? Because for years people say, "I'll do a list. On one side put pros and the other side put cons." Yeah, whatever, you hippie. But actually, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Does work because you've got it straight there in your eye line of like, this is good. Does it outweigh that?
Yeah.
X, does that outweigh Y? So I said, well, I can at least be thinking of something there along those lines whilst I'm, getting the girls down to bed. And she said, "Oh, the house that we found is perfect, and the village we know is perfect. I just don't think it's, in fact, that's it. I don't."
Hang on, say that again. Your phone just dropped out at the last minute. Sorry, we got the house is perfect, the village is perfect. Then what did you say?
Yeah, she said, house is perfect, village is perfect, but I don't think we're perfect. And in fact, I just don't want to be married anymore. And it had run its course. So it was a complete shock, completely out of the blue. And, so that was 3.5 years ago.
Oh, man.
And it was so out of the blue that it took me a long time not to get over me and her, because I think what she'd done ultimately was the right thing. I just think she did it the wrong way. It was like there was no kind of warning or anything like that. So I said, "Well, you could have given me some kind of ultimatum. If you wasn't happy with anything, then you could have told me." And she said, "Well, I have. I've given you a year, but she just hasn't told me."
Flipping it. And how long had you been married?
We'd been married 8.5 years at that stage.
I've got to ask, did she do a list? For you, a mark list?
Well, she probably did.
Oh,
I mean, like, I know you asked, but I think she probably would have made a list. I genuinely do.
Let me look at it from her position for a second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I mean, that must have been really, that must have been a tough thing for her to come out and say. That must have been, because the easy thing is to just go along with everything. Yeah. Go along, do it, and keep your head down and get on with it. That must have been a tough thing for her to have lived with that for a year and then come out and said it. Yeah, that's right. And I think that, and I've said this to her and I've said this to other people, and I knew pretty much straight away that was really hard. And then it comes home more to me since the times I've maybe started dating somebody. I'm, not with anybody right now, and anything that I've had since then, handful of 5 to 6 week kind of things, and if I had to finish those, I know how bad I felt about finishing with someone that, or saying to someone that I've been with for 5 or 6 weeks, look, this isn't ticking all the boxes for me, I'm sorry, I don't want this anymore. I know how bad that felt for me. So for her to do it after 8.5 years, 2 kids, knowing that we were just about to, planning on starting a new life down on the coast, absolutely. I admire her
her sort of courage, really, in actually doing it and not just going along with it. And it's taken me a long time to be able to totally accept that and accept everything that's gone along with it. You know?
And I say that about her, but also acknowledging, how horrific that must have been for you. I don't want to, detract from the trauma that you must have gone through.
Yeah, it was hard work. I mean, luckily there was nobody else involved on either side. There was no other problems, there were none of those, I want to say typical problems, but that sounds really quite trite. There was no sort of, no arguments or any domestic violence, for example. I know that's really going extreme.
Yeah.
There was no gambling or drinking or drugs. There was no smoking involved. We lived a fairly normal suburbs of London kind of life, on the outskirts of London there, and it just ran its course. I had, and I mention this because obviously I see your tweets, daily and stuff. I had depression, and she did bring that up as one of the reasons. But I always say, and even now I still say that I cope with depression. Yeah. I don't depression. I cope with it.
Yeah.
And I think in the sort of and really grit the sort of 2 or 3 years before we finished. And I think in all that time, there was only one day where I just physically couldn't leave the house. I didn't want to do anything. The rest of the time, I was a functioning, depression sufferer, So she brought up, I think it was, and I was starting to get a bit better. And I think it was one of those, he's getting better now. I can't carry on looking after him or helping him and stuff like that, I can kind of go now. And it kind of sent me backwards, but I know it's such a cliche, but time really does.
Well, the cliche. The thing is, cliches are found. There's a reason that there are cliches because they're kind of found in reality. Mark, your phone is breaking up a little bit. I'm going to ask Catherine just to give you a call back, either on that phone or a different one if there is one. Catherine, if you could do that, and now seems a perfect time to do that because I've missed a break again. This is a slightly different late night alternative. My name is Iain Lee. This is Talk Radio.
Uncut after-hours conversation for the up-all-night generation.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee
on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Catherine is working some phone magic to get Mark back, and we'll get Mark back in a little bit. Slightly, if you're a first-time listener, welcome. Slightly different to how we normally do it. That if you've not tuned in for a while because it all got a bit miserable, a bit heavy, the fun is normally back, guys. The fun is back. Don't you worry. But tonight we're doing something a little bit different. We've done it once before. It's an idea kind of borrowed from the beautiful Anonymous podcast, which is awesome, by the way. And we are having 3 calls over 3 hours, and the only rule is I can't cut them off, unless they swear or libelous or, offensive repeatedly, but I can't cut them off. They can hang up at any time they want, and they're on for an hour. Mark's back. Evening, Mark, you're back? Yes, you're back?
I'm back, yes.
How come you got the kids? That's unusual.
Yeah, I mean, it's now 50-50. When she left, she said that, it was in the January that she told me she didn't want to be married. It was in the March that she actually moved out. And she said that she wanted me to have them to start with because she didn't want the kids coming up and seeing her new place, whilst it was still in boxes.
Hang on, did either of you, here's the question that everyone wants to know, did either of you move to the New Forest?
No, neither of us moved. No, okay. We're both still in the same area. I now live in Ivor, in South.
I know Ivor. Ivor's posh, isn't it?
Well, I think it used to be.
Oh.
It's, yeah.
Right. Okay, yeah. Right.
I live there, and she lives now up in Beaconsfield, so it's only about 9-10 miles away.
Oh, I know that. I live kind of near there. I know that area. Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
What's I saying? So she moved up there. She didn't want the kids seeing the place with all the stuff in boxes, but as I said at the time, so it's okay for them to see the gap in the bedroom where the bed used to be and where one armchair is missing, and because we kind of split the furniture like that or what have you. So, yeah, I mean, it's now a 50-50 thing, but I'm lucky that my work is flexible. I get to have the girls during the days and do school runs and stuff like that, and during the school holidays I get to do that. So,
well, what do you do? What's your job?
No. I write and produce children's shows for holiday companies and theme parks.
Oh, here we go. What kind of children's shows?
So, if ever you see a 6-foot-tall talking tiger, for example, then from a lot of companies and a lot of the characters around the world now, I've usually got a hand in it somewhere, be it just writing some of the scripts, or I train up what used to be Red Coats, they're now called Fun Stars.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah,
they're
so I
called
train them up.
Coats are now called Fun Stars?
Well, no, Butlins have still got their Red Coats, because that's a real sort of brand, sort of strong brand point for
Who's
them.
got Fun Stars?
So Haven, who are part of the same company as Butlins, they're still all under the Bourne Leisure is the holding company. So Haven, who used to have Haven Mates, which is the job... which is the job I used to do 25 years ago.
Wow.
I used to be a Haven Mate for 3 years, and then from there it's kind of progressed to now I write and produce these shows and do the voices for quite a lot of the characters as well.
So what are they? They're not puppet shows. People in suits.
People in suits. Yeah, there's a few of them now that are doing puppet shows more because of the success of Avenue Q 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
So these avert puppets, like the sort of Sesame Street ones where their arms are on rods.
Yeah.
So they're kind of quite popular at a lot of these parks these days, mainly for price of buying some of these costumes. And you know what? I can only really talk about this because of the time at night, and there probably won't be any of the kids listening because I'm totally sort of can't talk about anything like this.
No, of course. I'm sure if there are any kids listening, then they've got terrible parents who've probably told them all kinds of things that they shouldn't know. So I think we're, I believe, I'm a firm believer, Mark, in keeping the magic alive for children as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and you make and this is going to sound like a rude question. I don't mean it to. You can make a living from doing this.
Oh yeah, I make a living out of it. I'm not comfortable or well off or anything like that, but it is my full-time job.
Wow.
I mean, going back to what I was saying about, when I start dating people and stuff like that, I'm on Tinder. I've just gone back on Tinder. I've been on and off it for 2 years. And part of my profile says I write children's show. I'm a children's writer, that's right. So a lot of people think, children's novels or books or something, and I say, no, this is what it is. It's for holiday parks and theme parks.
Oh, brilliant.
And things like that. And so I get to go all over the world and what have you, and every now and then I get to travel to sort of some faraway places and go and train up people to dance around like a 6-foot-tall talking fox.
So where have you been then?
Ireland. There's a company over in Cork in Ireland.
Yeah.
I've got to go over there.
It's not the most exotic place, Mark. I thought you were going to throw in something like Abu Dhabi or something.
And I just this is it. I am in talks with people in Dubai for a new. No, not Dubai, Doha. Sorry, that's Qatar, isn't it? To do some stuff there. And then sort of as another thing, I've just gone back to doing some performing because I used to be a performer. As I say, I used to be a Haven Mate.
Yeah.
So I've just spent most of June in Australia doing a pantomime because it's their winter over there.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so I've just done Peter Pan over on the Gold Coast for 3 weeks in June.
Wowzers. Tell me about Tinder, you sly dog, because I'm fascinated by this, and I'm fascinated. I'm kind of curious, I'm curious about people's marriages coming to an end. But then the Tinder, because that was if anything had been around like that when I was dating, flipping heck, man, it would have been a mess.
Well, this is it.
It would have been awful.
In 2003, early 2004, when I met my ex-wife, anybody who did online dating then was kind of seen as a bit weird.
Weren't they? I remember doing phone-ins. People who do online dating perverts. It was that kind of thing, definitely.
And I remember a sketch on Bottom, Rick Mail and Aid Edmondson's Bottom, where they filmed a kind of, a video online dating type thing, a very early thing, and it was even made out in something like that they were the complete perverts and abnormal sort of people for doing it.
Yep.
So, of course, becoming single 3.5 years ago, having this huge change in the dating scene in the sort of 10 years since I'd met my wife.
Yes.
Was just, it was...
Is Tinder not just for shagging?
Well, do you know what? I'll be absolutely honest with you. So I joined Tinder a year after I became single. So I tried Match.com, first of all.
Yeah.
So that it was on the night she moved out in March.
Yeah.
That night I was like, right, I'm going to show you. And
You
joined Match.com
the night she moved out. Wowzers.
Yeah. And so I joined it that night, and it was one of these buy 3 months and get an extra 3 months free. You get 6 months. Within about 3 weeks, and having been on the first couple of dates, I made a note in my diary: cancel Match.
Without ruining anybody's confidences, why? What was so wrong with the women that you met?
Do you know what? It wasn't the women. Now I can look back now and I can say it wasn't the women that I met, and it wasn't Match.com or any other of those dating sites. At that time, it was me. It was 2 months after we'd split up. At that time, I thought, well, these are all similar-aged women, because obviously... actually, there is to quickly tell you this story.
Yeah.
I did meet a girl. She was 28, as I say. I was, at the time, 41.
Wowzers.
Met her in a bar, or it was in one of these holiday parks. She was working on one of the holiday parks. I'd been there to see one of the shows or something.
Yeah.
We were chatting afterwards, and she was like being the archetypal shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
And so... she said, you know what you want to do? You want to, and I told her the whole story, and she said, what you want to do is just, let's go to a club, let's dance your cares away.
Oh.
And as she said that, I started singing this Fraggle Rocks theme tune. She went, you know what, we want to go to a club and dance your cares away. And I went, worries for another day, let the music play. And I added the claps as well.
Yeah, of course.
And she looked at me as if I wouldn't like to say, what I'd just done in front of her or something.
Yes.
But, and it was at that moment I realised, I don't think the younger girl is going to be the one for me. I think I need to stick around my own age.
Didn't know Fraggle Rock. Oh, man, we're old.
28, she was 28. It wasn't like she was like 19 or something like that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I decided to go, obviously, for women around my own age, sort of 5 years either sort of side of it. And I tended to find at that age a lot of the women who were on these sites had been wronged by their husband, be it from an affair with a younger woman or something like that. Yeah. And so they were looking for their next life partner, and I feel really bad and shallow saying it, but it was like he's a nice bloke who's, he can talk, I've got my own hair and teeth and stuff like that. He'll do. He's going to be my next life partner. And it was a lot like that. And it was like, well, let's just wait and see how this goes. Let's just try, 2 or 3 dates first. But I had one lady tell me she was falling in love with me after the second date. And I'm not saying any of this because it's like I'm some super cat or anything like that. I really don't, But as I say, now I look back and I think, I just totally wasn't ready for that. And of course I was obviously responding to their sort of questions and listening to them and being all thoughtful because I was like, fresh out of the conversations of, we just don't communicate well anymore between my ex-wife and I. So, of course, the first time you go out dating, you start, oh, yes, I'm really paying absolute attention to every single word you say.
Wow. This isn't a judgment at all. I'm part of me imagines it's unusual for the first night. I would imagine the first night that someone moves out of the house, that the person who is left or the person who's moved out is in their bed crying, going, "Oh God, why me? Why?" But to go on to a dating site, that was 2 fingers up to your missus, was it?
Yes and no. I mean, I just think it was one of those things of she's gone. So I was there. I had my girls. I'd taken them out for the day so they didn't see her moving all the stuff out and what have you. And we'd got back in quite late at night. And I was like, right, I'm just going to do that. You might not want me, but from what I've heard from other sort of, in the previous 2 months from other single friends and stuff like that, there's a market out there for, mid-40s or early 40s as I was then, blokes with their own teeth and hair and that can string a sentence together,
And again, this might be too intimate. You didn't date any of the mums on the school run, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. I believe they call that, I'm going to rephrase it slightly, crapping on your own doorstep.
Yeah. No, I think I put a sort of joke out on sort of Facebook or something like that saying, there should be some kind of app or something where you can log in and say, this is the school I'm at and I'm a single parent. Because you do find out who the other single parents are really quickly. If you didn't know at the time, all of a sudden other sort of parents would come up and go, oh, so-and-so single. And you're like, really? I didn't know that. But as you say, dirtying your own doorstep is probably not the best thing.
I will lighten this up before we end. I'm not going to let us end on because it is quite heavy and down. I don't want you to leave on a downer mark. But I'm going to ask you one more kind of heavy question, then we'll move it around a bit. The girls, when they first came home, that you say you brought them home late that first night, but the next morning when they woke up, where's Mum? Was how were they? That must have been awful for them, and it must have been awful for you as well. Because we want to protect our kids from everything in the world, whether it's bad people out there or in inverted commas the failure of our relationships.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think because they could see that we had got on very well, from day one. And, any times we'd sort of had a disagreement, subsequently to her saying she didn't want to be married anymore, we made sure that any conversations like that were absolutely done after they were in bed or anything like that. But to be absolutely honest, I don't really remember it, and I don't remember a great deal about that next morning.
Yeah, I bet.
I was too busy lining them up on Matchdoc.
Exactly.
No, I genuinely don't remember what the reactions were that next morning, and I know I would have done if they had been extreme in any way of of confusion or distress or anything like that. But I think I still think we continue to handle it very, very well. I hear stories, especially if I do date anybody now, they do tend to be single parents themselves, obviously, and you hear stories about their ex and the relationship they have with their ex-partner and the children and the handovers and things like that. I've been very, very lucky that we have kept it all amicable, and long may it do so, because it will only help the girls in the long run, and it will help me and it will help my ex as well. So.
Tinder, you sly dog. I mean, is this the reason you're not on Twitter very much? Because how does it work? Do you get pings when people... Because they swipe one way to say no, and then they swipe another way to say yes. That's right, yeah? So
I started saying that I didn't join it until a year after I was single, because I'd heard the rumours and the sort of, the general public opinion that it was a bit of a meat market, really. And it had been a year, and I was like, well, if that's what it is, then that's what it is, So I joined it there, but I have to say, in the sort of, it's coming up, it'll be 3 years on Boxing Day, it was when I joined it.
Come on, man. What a Christmas that was. Wow.
Well, exactly. First Christmas as an unmarried male, as a single man, and I have the kids on on Christmas Day, and then she has them on Boxing Day. I'm sat
What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do?
What else are you going to do? You're going to go, I'm feeling a bit lonely. I've heard there's a phone app that you don't even have to pay for. That was quite attractive at the time. And that you can meet people, but just by sitting there watching the repeats of Morecambe and Wise or whatever. So, that's what I did. But, as I say, I've met lots of lovely people. Yeah, I've got sort of dating stories and stuff like that, but I've got some really good friends, because sometimes you meet these people on Tinder and you eventually swap numbers after a day or two, and you start chatting on WhatsApp, and you might call them, but until you actually meet them face to face, you just don't know whether that chemistry is there, that undescribable, that element is just might not be there. And yet, you've met this person and you kind of know so much about them, and you get on so well. So, I've made some really, really good, strong friendships, females obviously, from being on Tinder. So, and then you have that period where you go, right, I've had enough of this now. It's so shallow. It's like a glorified game of Snap. Are they going to swipe the same way as me and what have you? So, and then I delete it for 5-6 months, and then I'll go back on it for a couple of months. So,
I mean, it sounds, and have you introduced any of the women to the girls?
I've only introduced one woman. That was somebody I was working with last Christmas, that they knew anyway. She'd been on a talent competition on TV that's quite big. And I was just working with her through the sort of work that I do. And so they knew this person from that TV show.
Is it Stacey Solomon?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I won't do any more guessing. I just want to get Stacey Solomon.
No. So yeah, they already knew her, as in that they'd come to see the thing that I was working on with her. So they knew her, and then they sort of put two and two together. So they met her, but it wasn't a long-lasting thing. It wasn't like they was introduced to her as my daddy's new girlfriend or anything like that. So no, not really. But they know that I'm looking for someone, and I think they'd be as happy as anything if I were to find someone.
Yeah.
You know, and it would enhance their life as well, because they know that I'm not just going to settle for somebody that's almost perfect. I don't think I'm too old to feel those butterflies, and you know, I don't want to settle for something that's so close but not quite. You know,
conversations about periods and stuff with your girls.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that?
I think I'll be fine about that. I've already had conversations with them, not about that, but things like racism and things, and because they all see it. That came up from watching the film Hairspray. Yeah. And they deal with the race.
I would suggest racism is easier to deal with in terms of a dad talking to his two young girls than periods. I would have thought.
But even things like sexuality and stuff. You know, they've spoken to me about what lesbians are and things like that. So I'd like to think, I don't want to try and sound like an old hippie, I'm one of those cool dads, you can talk to me about anything, girls. But, and especially these days with the internet, I can Google and see what's the best way to deal with this.
Mumsnet.
Yeah, exactly. It's all there. So I would like to think that I'll be, if not well equipped, because you never know what kids are going to say, do you? You know. But if they ask a question that I can't answer, then I'll say I'll come back to you about that later. Let me have a look and let me find out, and then we can explore it together. I know that sounds really hippie-ish.
No, it's not. It's good. I love it. I mean, with two boys, obviously, it's slightly easier. But I love it when my boys come out with questions about willies and girls and where. I mean, a few months ago, where do babies come from? Where do babies come from? And I was like, froze. I thought, well, I might as well tell them. And so I told them where babies come from. And it was in the car. And they jumped out of the car and to go and see their mum. And my youngest went, Mummy, babies grow in your stomach and they come out of the end of your willy and man's willy, and they grow in your stomach and then they come out of your vagina. And he kept calling it a vagina. Yeah. For ages, a vagina. And it's like, and I know it's what show are you working on at the moment? What projects have you got?
So I've just come back from Australia, and a fella saw me in the show out there, and he promotes shows in Hong Kong and China to the expats.
Mate, get me in there!
Yeah, so one of the things I used to do pantomime years ago. I kind of retired about 5 years ago from all the performing and what have you, with the depression, and then once the divorce came along and everything, I just grew out of love with it. You know? But I kind of fell back into it by accident last year. But before that, I used to do stand-up comedy for children.
For kids, really?
Yeah.
Mate.
So it was literally like a proper stand-up show. Because some people said, what has it got, like custard pies or balloon modelling and stuff like that? No, it was me with a microphone talking about subjects that kids could really...
I've seen it. I've seen people do it. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And so I used to do that because I used to do pantomime at the Beck Theatre. I did that in Hayes for 5 years.
I did a wonderful performance at the age of 15 years old at the Beck Theatre of a Brecht play. When I was in school. Oh, yeah, what a thrill that was. Anyway, I remember backstage, me and my friend Wayne were trying to bend spoons with our mind. But we were actually really trying to bend spoons with our mind. We weren't pretending we were just there. Anyway, go on.
But so I did sort of 5 years there doing the panto and sort of worked my way up the bill and stuff like that, and became known in like Uxbridge Gazette as Hayes' favourite funny man. You know,
good for you.
On my CV. So I used to do that. That would finish early January, and then February sort of half-term time, I would do my new hour and 10-minute long stand-up comedy show, because I'd sell it off the back of the pantomime. It would fill the theatre up, and I love doing it because kids are a great audience because they haven't learned to be polite and clap at the right places, even if they think it's rubbish.
Oh, and if you're boring, not only will they tell you, they'll get up and walk away.
Exactly, they'll go and do something else within that sort of the confines of the auditorium. So, a fella came to see the show out in Australia and got in touch with me on Twitter whilst I was still out there, and we had a chat, and he said he puts these adult shows on over in Hong Kong and China for the expats. He said, would I like to go over there and do my kids' comedy show? So, I'm hopefully going to be doing some of that.
Mark, for goodness sakes, man, get me a gig doing pantomime in Hong Kong. Please, please, let me ditch this nonsense. Let me come and do pantomime in Hong Kong.
All right. Well, I've got Liverpool first at Christmas, then you know.
I would love to do pantomime. Those guys get paid a fortune, don't they?
Well, yeah, but not the as we're called, the fabulous supporting cast. So Brian Connolly plus fabulous supporting cast.
Oh, I don't know. Mark, we're out of time, man. I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much for being so open and sharing all that stuff with us.
No problem at all. I'm hoping to come along on Sunday if you're still having your game.
Oh, well remembered. Yeah, the game of tag on Sunday. This Sunday. Yes, we're doing it. Come along and it'll be nice to shake your hand.
Yeah, and yours.
Cheers, man. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
There we go. Mark down. Yeah, tag, had, it. We'll talk about that tomorrow. There we go. We've got anyone lined up for the next hour? We don't have anyone lined up for the next hour, so we've got another hour to fill. I really enjoyed that. Thank you, Mark. And thank you for being so open. You don't have to be as open as Mark. You don't have to be as, we don't have to delve as intimately as we did with Mark. It's entirely up to you where the conversation goes. You know, you reveal as much or as little as you want. So 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Who wants to be next?
Talk Radio.
I enjoyed that. Another hour to go. Lots of phone calls coming through. So if Kath doesn't answer you immediately, then don't worry. And if she doesn't put you through for the hour, don't take it personally, okay? We're looking for something different and something a little bit unusual. 0344 499 1000 is the phone number. This is Talk Radio.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
He has made a covenant with the night, and with the darkness he is in agreement.
Uncut after-hours conversation for the up-all-night generation.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee
on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Good evening, dear listener. Iain Lee, the Late Night Alternative on Talk Radio. It's a bank holiday, and we try and do something a little bit different on bank holidays. Is this the last bank holiday of the year? You don't get bank holidays in September, October. That simply doesn't happen. But we like to do something a little bit different on bank holidays, partly because, well, it's a different audience listening. But a lot of the regular listeners, notice I'm saying the word listeners, not callers, a lot of the regular listeners will have gone away and won't be listening, or maybe they got family over or whatever. And there'll be a lot of new people who find themselves at home with a computer or a DAB radio flicking through, and they stumble on us. Welcome. The show isn't normally like this. It's normally, it's normally a lot of old nonsense, if I'm completely honest. But tonight we are kicking around a theme that we've used before. Hats off, as always, to the beautiful Anonymous team. A great podcast. And we've kind of cribbed it a bit. It was an idea I sort of had floating around, but I couldn't quite work out how to do it. And so listening to Beautiful Anonymous gave me the confidence to push it and do something with it. And I speak to one caller per hour for the 3 hours of the show. We've had loads of people phone up for this hour, but none of those people have tickled Catherine's fancy. And what a delightful fancy it is too. But none of them have. So, and please don't take it personally. It doesn't mean you're boring. It doesn't mean that we've got a grudge. It's none of those things. It's just Kath. Kath is looking for a vibe, and I can't be any more specific than that, because if I start being too specific, then the magic goes out of the room. So she's just looking for someone that's got a specific vibe, and if you've spoken to her, then apologies that it isn't you. And you know, there is a 0344 499-1000, by the way. You'll speak to Kath. You don't have to do an audition. You don't have to say, I want to talk about my mental health, or I want to... Here's where the challenge is for me, right? I genuinely believe, and I've said this before, and I've said this when I've given talks about radio at colleges and universities and schools and to radio industry people. I genuinely believe that everyone has got at least one story in them. I think we've all got more. And so the challenge for me is to kind of find out what your story is and tease it out. And if we don't, well, we've had an hour in each other's company. And if we do, well, then that's good as well. There's no trick questions. I'm not out to catch you out. I'm not here for you to reveal any secrets or anything that you don't want to reveal. I can't cut you off until the show ends. You can hang up any time you want. So we'll give it a few more minutes, and I can see people calling in. And if we don't get someone, if we don't capture some duende, am I using that word in the right context? If we don't get some duende, then we'll do something different. And that's fine as well. We've had two really, really good calls. I enjoyed both of those for completely different reasons. So we'll see. Here's the phone number: 0344 499 1000. 0344 499 1000. You'll talk to Catherine, and trust me, she will know from hello whether you've got it. She will, because she's been doing this job longer than me. I think you've been doing it longer than me. Yeah. So she will know. Her radar is sharper than mine when it comes to these things. And if we don't get someone, we'll do something a little bit different. And I've got a feeling that we might do something a little bit. I'll tell you what. Let's give it till the next ad break. So 6, 7, 8 minutes or so. And if you've not found someone, Catherine, give me the signal, which of course is the finger across the throat, and we'll do something a little bit different. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call, we can chat about anything. I had something I was going to say and I've forgotten it. It'll come to me. We did, now that Big Brother has finished, and I got sucked into Big Brother. Oh, by the way, Paul Denan's, I'll phone Paul Denan up tomorrow. Phone him up tomorrow. Paul's going to come on the show at some point, hopefully. And, I love Paul Denan. He's nuts. I'll tell you what Paul Denan is, right? He's like an excitable puppy. And who doesn't love an excitable puppy? I don't mean he wheezes everywhere, although that's a possibility with Dangerous Denan. He is, and we're not close friends. I don't know him particularly well. I've had reason to be in his company a few times. He's such a good-hearted bloke. Forget whatever you saw on Big Brother and all of that. He's such a nice bloke. And, despite not knowing him very well, I gave him my phone number years ago. And, he would often text me or phone me up just to check in to see how I was doing. And do you know what? I didn't really phone him back because I'm terrible at phoning people back. But he's just a really nice bloke. So we'll get Paul Denan on the show. But now that Big Brother has finished, I'm at a loss. At 9:00, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to watch. Now that Kath's back, we're diving straight back into the Naked and Afraid XL season 3. Hey, man alive, it's great. They're dropping like flies. But we watched this programme tonight, and first of all, I thought it was going to be a series, but it must just be a one-off. I should have been hosting it. It was on Channel 5, 9:00, George Lamb, and they put 4 people, including George Lamb, into solitary confinement. So basically they had these sort of porter cabins, and they were going to be locked in it for 5 days, right? And they could buzz a button to get out. And if they buzzed the button, they were out, and that was it. It was game over, right? And I was thinking, well, this looks like fun, but looks easy, okay? One woman buzzed out after 4 hours and 45 minutes. Less than 5 hours she lasted, and she buzzed out. It was incredible. George Lamb buzzed out after 23 hours. Here's the thing, right? You were allowed to take stuff in. You could take 3 things, I think. So George had some cards. The bloke had a picture of his girlfriend, and I think he went nuts. And another girl took in, like, pen and paper and paints. So she had 5 days, of painting and writing. Oh, God, get me in there with a pen and paper, and I'd be over the moon. 5 days of sat in a room on my own. Love it. I would love it. Let's go to Canterbury and Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you very much.
You've called in. You're going to stick with us until 1 o'clock, if that's all right.
I will keep the matchsticks going. Yeah.
There we go. We haven't spoken before, have we, Sarah?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay. How long you been listening to the show for?
About an hour and a half, something like that.
You've never listened before?
Never. Sorry.
Have you not?
Sorry.
No, don't apologise. What? How come you're listening tonight?
We've got a mutual acquaintance.
Uh-oh. That always fills me with dread.
And I've just been talking to Mark.
Yeah.
Who's somebody that I've come across recently in our dating exploits.
Oh.
Yeah.
You've come across Mark, have you?
I have. Yeah. It's very nice. It's not a slanderous call.
That guy got me pregnant, and he's not returned my calls. And can you get him on that dirty dog?
No,
so
not that bad at all.
You've been out on a date with Mark?
Yeah, we've been on a couple of dates actually.
Wow. Are you courting at the moment, or is that it? It was a couple of dates.
Courting. That's very old-fashioned, isn't it? No, we're not courting. I'm not courting anyone.
No.
No.
How come you find yourself single in your early 40s?
I'm actually 39.
Yeah, I was thinking 41, so I should...
Oh, okay, so I sound older than that.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, only by 2 years. How come you find yourself single at 39?
I've been single for 6 years. My ex-husband walked out when my kids were 5 and 3 6 years ago, and I've just been busy trying to bring them up on my own.
Yeah, I bet.
Bringing away and trying to make ends meet, etc., etc. Which sounds a bit miserable, but it's not finding time to sort of have my own life because I've got 2 little lives that I'm responsible for.
Well, here's the question I did want to ask Mark, and we ran out of time. But I honestly, I mean, the few days when I have the kids on my own, right, very infrequently, but something I couldn't even begin to comprehend fitting in going out on a date. I can't even watch one episode of a TV programme because either they disturb me or I'm so tired when they've gone to bed. I'll watch 20 minutes and think, oh, stuff that, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to factor in sort of 23 days in advance and then pay out for a babysitter and then think, bloody hell, I've just paid out 25 quid for the babysitter, it better be a good night.
Is that how much a babysitter is these days?
Well, it's £5 an hour, isn't it?
Flipping heck, is it?
I mean, it could be more. It could be more.
Oh, yeah. Well, God almighty. I've not used a babysitter for ages. We just leave them at home. I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm joking. Sarah, then, I don't know if you know how this is going to work then. We'll just sit and chat, and if I ask anything you don't want to answer, you tell me to jog on, and I will, and that's fine, but we'll just kind of have a conversation. So are you on Tinder as well, then?
No. We got a mutual friend, actually.
Uh-oh.
That introduced us online, so I suppose you could say it was an internet thing.
Okay, it wasn't a blind... Do people still do blind dates?
I don't think so. Not with the internet, because you can see pictures and you get stalking, don't you? And you look at their profile and find out about their past and where they live and what they do. It's all a little bit dodgy.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. You can get someone's name and just type it in and see what comes up. I suppose that's common practice to do that.
Yeah, do a Google search, find out where they live, what they've done.
I hadn't even thought of that, and I suppose as well, particularly if you've got kids, it's a sensible thing to do in terms of safety. You want to make sure you're not going out with someone who's just got out of prison for a load of murders.
Well, yeah, it is worth finding out those facts, I suppose. Yeah, don't give out the address on the first date, anyway.
No, I suppose not. Well, without, and you're still friends with Mark. You still talk to Mark.
Yeah, like he said, he's made friends with lots of people, but he's not sort of committed to anything.
All right,
but there's no antagonism at all. It's just I was listening to him and thought, you know what, I might give him a little ring. From the other, point of view, single mum with kids.
And were you listening because he told you? He told you to listen.
He put something on Twitter.
Oh right, okay.
He put something on Twitter, and we're still in touch now and again.
Yeah,
nothing much, but it's.
Well, you're following him on Twitter. That's I believe is a good thing.
Well, it was Facebook actually. It comes up, doesn't it? On your,
listen, I don't want to ruin any confidences of Mark, but why was it only 2 dates?
He said he wasn't ready.
Oh, that line.
He wasn't ready. So I've been single 6 years, which is quite a long time.
Yeah.
Best part of my 30s have been sort of spent bringing up kids, and I've been on the back burner myself.
Yeah.
A mutual friend was like, we did like this online, she does this advice page, and let's find love for Mark, and we'd gone out on this date, and it all was looking really promising, and then he just said, I'm not ready.
Do you buy that?
Fair enough. Just fair enough. But,
did you buy that line?
Yes and no. I was a bit peeved to hear that he's back on Tinder.
I bet.
If you're not ready, you're not ready. But there you go. I suppose you can't sit at home doing nothing, can you?
It's I've always found it very difficult to end a relationship with someone that isn't happening. Sometimes early on that it isn't happening. Sometimes it can be 6 months into it that you go, actually, this is not what I was hoping for. And I've one of my great weak points, Sarah, is ending it. And I must admit, in my younger days, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but I'll say it, full disclosure, I would act like a dick so that the girl would finish with me.
Yeah, my ex-husband did that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Looked the waitress up and down and gave her how bad it looked, to try and get me to finish with him so he didn't have to do it.
Oh, no, that's not fair.
Yeah, remember it well. The first date we went on when 12 years ago, it was a restaurant in Bournemouth. And we went back because I was stupidly trying to salvage the relationship.
Yeah.
And, just in this restaurant, same restaurant, she came up to take her order and literally just looked her up and down to try and make me, just
have you
throw a fit and walk out.
Can you turn the radio off in the background?
Yes.
Because there's a delay and it's just it's confusing me because it's late at night and I'm an old man.
That?
There we go.
I know.
There we go.
I'm not usually awake at this time of night.
No, well, God, this is my job. It's a ridiculous time of night. Oh, that's low. That's mean.
Oh, there was lots of nastiness. There still is now, unfortunately.
Is there really?
Yeah, he married the girl he had an affair with, and she's got a real hang-up about me. It's very, very nasty and manipulative. And
you mentioned earlier on that I can't remember the exact phrase. It was something along the lines of making ends meet. Does he not help out financially or with the kids?
Well, if 30 quid a week is helping out, then I get 30 quid a week.
Wow, that's great.
Per child, I mean, goes a long way. I suppose that covers school dinners and a bit of petrol. But he also left me £20,000 in debt, which took me best part of 5 years to get out.
How come he left you in debt?
Because he didn't have any credit rating, so when we took out a loan to repay credit cards and overdrafts, it was just taken out in my name. And he walked out 3 weeks later and left me with a massive debt, which he now denies the existence of.
That's a shitty thing to do.
Very much so, yeah.
That's-
Yeah, and still has the audacity to sort of, she's always on about money. Tut-tut. It's like, well, yeah. Funnily enough, you do need a certain amount to sort of bring 2 children up.
Does he see the kids?
Yeah, every other week they're with him now. Every other weekend, half the holidays.
And is he good? Is he a good dad when he's with them?
He's loving.
Yeah.
He loves the girls, but when it comes to sort of more grown-up, responsible type things, he washes his hands of it.
Can't do it.
And that's my responsibility.
Hmm.
Pass them on to mother. She'll sort it out. But, I'm trying to work. I'm on my own, so I'm trying to earn enough to keep a house over our head, because we didn't own a house. So I've had to sort of claw it back, and we've been renting. But as you know, renting goes up. We're paying like $850 for a 2-bedroom flat at the moment.
Oh man, renting is incredibly expensive, and
it's mad.
It does feel like just you're throwing money down a pit, because you've got nothing to show at the end of it.
Yeah. So we're doing that, and I have up until now just been working sort of 22 hours a week or something like that, and then picking the kids up from school and doing all that running about. But because of the situation, I've had to go back to work full-time in September as a teacher. So that's going to be 8 till 5 every day. So I won't be able to do any of the mummy stuff. But that's just the sacrifice we've got to make, really.
How are you doing? You sound pissed off, and you sound stressed. I don't know if that's an accurate reading.
That's a pretty accurate reading. Surprisingly, my voice is all right this evening, but I've been suffering with something called muscle tension dysphonia for the last 9 months.
Now, is that when your face freezes?
No, that's basically all the muscles around my vocal tract and my throat just tense up, and my chest, so I almost don't have a voice.
The phonia, of course. Yeah, dysphonia.
Which is a pain when you're a teacher and a singer. So I used to perform and earn a few grand a year doing that, but I haven't been able to do that.
Hang on a minute. You're a singer. What were you singing?
I used to work abroad as an entertainer, so I used to sort of do cabaret shows, but since I came back, it's been more sort of pubs, clubs.
Yeah.
Music festivals, that sort of thing.
I wish we still had cabaret in this country. I'd love to go to go somewhere for a meal, and you sit down and everyone's talking and chitty-chattying away, and then the lights go down and there's a hush, and a singer comes out and does a bit, and we haven't got that anymore over here, have we?
I'm sure in deepest, darkest Leicestershire or something, you've still got your cabaret show with the meat raffle at half-time and your old boy on the disco putting his lights up.
Yeah.
Doing a bit of Angels at the end of the night, that sort of thing. It still exists, because I used to accompany my ex to a lot of those sort of gigs and that. But they do exist, but it's not as common, unfortunately.
What was your song, Sarah? What was the one that when you did it, you knew you were going to have the audience in the palm of your hand?
Ooh, probably Delilah, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Song about murdering a woman?
Yes, but domestic violence, throw that one in.
It's a very, very dark song.
It is actually, isn't it? I actually saw Tom Jones. He was only across the way at Canterbury Cricket Club a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, is he any good still? Because he's an old fella.
He's amazing. He's 77.
Is he really?
And he tottered on. You know, he looked like he almost needed support to get on, bless him.
Yeah.
He didn't move very much. He did a little bit of sort of hand on stomach and wiggling. There wasn't a lot of movement. Let's be said, it took him 5 minutes to get off stage. The encore took a while.
My Nanny Peg, who's no longer with us, she used to love Tom Jones. Do women still chuck their knickers at him?
Oh, yes.
There
were a lot of knickers going up on stage.
Dirty old man.
Different sizes.
He's a dirty...
Yeah, colours. It was, yeah. And he sort of feigned sort of shock. And did a tribute to his wife, who recently passed away.
Yep.
Which a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, but he was a bit of a change.
I was about to say, well, if only his tribute had been living up to the marriage vows that he took.
Yeah, that kind of passed my mind, as I said to my friend. Yeah, but he didn't,
he's got a nickname for his penis.
Is he?
He calls it Wendell.
Wendell.
Oh, girls, you want a bit of Wendell. That's right, honestly, famously, this is not a joke.
Window cleaner.
Famously, if you look, you Google that. If you ever go on a date, if you ever come across Tom Jones on Tinder, Google him. Wendell used to call his Willie.
Wendell the Wangle. Okay, I'll look that one up.
Yeah, too.
I don't think he can wangle it very much anymore.
No, there'd be no wangling. Well, who knows? Who knows? That man
That was actually his parting song, Those Were the Days.
Was it? That's a
Yeah. Oh, it was a good gig. Anyway, I enjoyed it.
Tom Jones, because Tom Jones was massive in the States. He was.
Oh, he did Las Vegas. And
the only person that could draw a crowd almost as big as Elvis Presley in Las Vegas was Tom Jones.
Oh, he's amazing. I mean, his voice is still fantastic.
Yeah.
It really is. And it was quite sad to see him sort of tottering on. But, you know, he's nearly 80, for God's sake. He's still up on stage doing it. I mean, brilliant.
Most of my regular listeners will know, but most of my musical heroes, Sarah, are groups from the 60s. So they're all in their 70s now. So the number of times I've been to see men in their 70s doing a concert,
and that's your excuse, and you're sticking to it.
That is my excuse, Sarah, and God damn it, I'm not letting anybody. But you know, you go and see the Beach Boys, and they're in. Well, there's only 2 original members, and they're in their 70s. It's a strange thing to think that. When I was a kid, and I'm sure when you were a kid, Sarah, 70 was like 50
ancient.
And 60 were ancient. So 70 was just, you couldn't, 70 hardly existed. But to see people like that, you say he's nearly 80, going out and doing a concert. I bet he was on for bloody ages as well.
Yeah, he did a good 90-minute set, probably a bit longer, actually.
Yeah.
Amazing. Absolutely brilliant.
So are you courting at the moment?
Courting.
Sorry, I keep using that. I do use that phrase. Are you seeing anyone? Are you dating?
No. I kind of had my fingers burnt, as I said.
With Mark?
Yeah.
Mark was your finger burning moment, was it?
Yeah, well, I've had my fingers been burnt many times. It's surprising I've still got fingers, to be honest.
Singed but loving.
Well singed, but, it's been 6 years. I've probably been on 20 dates, I'd say.
Oh, dear.
Nothing sticks. Well, I'll rephrase that one.
Well,
I've not met anybody. I've been more than 3 times.
And why not? I know this is an impossible question to answer, but I'm going to ask it. Why not, do you think?
If I analyse it, which I have done and probably shouldn't, I think it's guys these days are either threatened by an independent sort of woman that doesn't really need to rely on anyone, or don't want to take on other people's children.
But are they not aware of the children before they meet you?
It's on profiles, and I've done sort of internet dating. It's on the profile, children at home. But I met a lovely guy probably this time last year. We're getting on really well, lots of chemistry. And then he said, "How old are your kids?" And I said, "They're 11 and 9." And I could just see him withdraw straight away.
Oh, what a shame.
And then the next morning, sort of texted and said, "Had a lovely time, but I've been there and done that." And I completely respect that.
Yeah.
Kids are in their sort of late teens, early 20s. Just didn't want to go back and do the whole child.
I was going to say, he doesn't know what he's missing out on. But if he's been there, I can kind of, I guess I can kind of understand that point of view.
Yeah, I understand. It's just rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rubbish.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get it. I mean, my dad took on a child when he married my mum and then went on to have 2 more. So I have this sort of, rose-tinted glasses image that, even if you have got a child or 2, there's some decent blokes out there that will just see you for you and all that. But I just think it's too complex for blokes these days. I think, it's just a blotted page, isn't it? We'll move on and get a nice fresh sheet.
Oh, that's heartbreaking to hear you say that.
Well, it's not really, is it? It's reality. I mean, it would have been nice not to have been on my own for most of my 30s, but there we go.
Sarah, I have to take a quick break because we've got to play some adverts, and then I'll come straight back. Is that all right?
Okay.
All right, lovely.
No problems at all. Shall I hang on?
You hang on. You don't go anywhere. We're going to play these adverts and we'll come straight back. This is Talk Radio.
The Late Night Alternative with Iain Lee
on Talk Radio.
there we go. We're doing things slightly differently this evening. Normal service will resume tomorrow. But we're doing something we did once before. We've got 3 hours and we've got 3 callers. And the caller this hour is Sarah. Hello, Sarah.
Hello there.
What do you teach?
I've done a few bits and bobs actually. Primary school, I'm back to primary. But I've done English as a foreign language and GCSE at college.
Primary school, because I told this story before, but I should tell it again. About 10 years ago, no, about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, it doesn't really matter. When my career, so to speak, wasn't going particularly well, and I wasn't working very much, and the work I was doing, I was finding very, very unsatisfying. I looked at becoming a primary school teacher, and I looked it up online. And there was like an induction evening in a school near me one evening. Obviously, and it was for men. It was to get men in primary school teaching because there's a massive shortage, as I'm sure you're aware of male primary school teachers. And I went and I thoroughly loved it and I got hooked. And they said your best bet is to get in touch with a school and see if you can go and sit in for a couple of days and. If you like that, then you can apply for the... So I got in touch with a school. It was miles away. I can't remember how I found out about it. Maybe they put me in touch. And I got in touch with the headmaster, who was a bloke. And he said, oh, come. And I got to spend a couple of days at this primary school, sitting in the staff room with these teachers and helping out these kids in these classes. And I loved it, Sarah.
That bit's fine, yeah.
Yeah, that bit's fine. That's the fun bit. But then I found out that we were having a baby, and then I suddenly got offered a lot more work in this industry that was significantly more paid, better paid than teaching. Teaching pays hardly anything at that level.
Well, I mean, if you break it down to hour by hour, it's probably less than minimum wage.
I bet it is. Bet it is. So I made the decision not to, but it's something that when this ends, and it will end eventually, it's my fallback plan is to go and be a primary school teacher. But did you enjoy it? Do you enjoy it?
I dipped in and out of it actually for about 10 years.
Yeah.
I was working when I had because my first daughter I had whilst I was pregnant doing my GCSE, crikey, PGCE.
Jeez, that would have been something. Yes, yeah.
And actually, it was on my first teaching placement. I used to go home, breastfeed, and then go back to school. I mean, it was just an absolute nightmare. I look back now and think, how the hell did you do that?
Wow.
And then I had my second daughter in my NQT year, which is your newly qualified teaching year, your first year of teaching.
Yeah.
Again, look back and think, how the heck did you do it? But I think that probably contributed to the breakdown of my marriage because I was just so into my job and the hours that you need to devote to it were just ridiculous. It was sort of 60 hours a week. Every evening I'd be marking, planning, etc., and then you'd have your other stuff. So if you were responsible for a subject, you do your planning, you do your leadership, policies, etc. Then on top of that, you've got, we're going on trips, we've got to do parental consent, we've got to do risk assessments, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And it could take over your life if you let it.
But but the joy of shaping young children when they are at their most vulnerable and their most impressionable and their most wide-eyed, was that not immensely rewarding?
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite as often as you'd like to think. A lot of it is just sort of crowd control. And if you can actually get them to tell you what they've learned in an hour, you're doing well. I mean, I'm going to be starting school in quite a sort of deprived area with a lot of social, emotional problems. So a lot of my teaching is going to be social work, which I think I'm probably more equipped for because I've been teaching 10 years. I've got 2 kids of my own and I've been through a bit of rubbish stuff in my own life. So I feel like I can sort of, I can get down to them and appreciate where they're coming from, where I think a lot of newly qualified or younger people or people that haven't had any sort of stuff going on might not be able to appreciate and work with those sort of kids. So it's going to be softly.
And how old are the kids going to be? How old are the kids going to be?
They're going to be 10, 11.
Okay, yeah.
And my own kids are going to be 10 and 12.
See, 10 and 11, that's when they're starting to become little SH1Ts, I guess, in certain extent. Because I guess I was thinking maybe with primary school, maybe, sort of 5, 6, 7, the earlier end of it.
Yeah, I've done that as well. I've worked in pretty much every year group.
But that's magic. 5, 6, 7. That's magical. And I know that
it can be. It can be. We do. I remember doing the sort of phonics where you're pretending that ants are running up your arms and you're walking around like you've got elephant trunks and marching out the front and all that sort of stuff, which is great. And then you've got all the rubbish of senior management saying, make sure you're evidencing such and such. So you've got people standing there with clipboards, writing down little Johnny could count to 5,
Even the teachers have got to show they're working out. Wow, that's crazy.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I doubt it's going to change because I've been out of primary school teaching about 3 years because I've been doing college, so GCSE, a bit higher up. It's back to primary really because that's the area of my experience and I couldn't find any work in secondary schools. So it's back with the little ones.
What do you do for fun?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have a great deal of fun.
That's sad.
I do find, I'm on my own every other weekend, so I try to sort of plan a few things in, but it does sound a bit miserable, but I'm quite limited financially.
Oh, no, of course. But fun doesn't need to be expensive. I mean, fun can be reading a good book or watching a film on the telly or going out for a walk or, meditating. It can be loads of different things.
Yeah, I mean, because of this voice problem I've had quite a lot of voice therapy, and she's just said, you've got to look after yourself. You've got to meditate. You've got to go swimming. You've got to have time to yourself. You've got to, do all these things that a lot of people just sort of take for granted. But trying to fit into your day-to-day when you've got 2 kids and your life sort of revolves around them, you've got to plan these things in. And I haven't really been doing it.
Remind me how old they are?
One's nearly 12, one's nearly 10.
Right. You can fit in a cheeky little 10-minute meditation. Do you ever meditate?
Yeah, I've downloaded something and I sort of sit there with my finger and thumb together at the end of the bed, that sort of thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I don't do it enough. But at that age, you can say, right, listen, I'm going upstairs for 20 minutes. Don't, just, unless the house is burning down, do not come and disturb me.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're kind of appreciating the fact that I need a life as well as them. So we're getting there. We're coming out of it. 6 years was pretty tough, but they're a bit older now, so we're getting somewhere.
Getting somewhere? Where are you getting?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I am apprehensive about going back full-time, I've got to say.
I bet. Why are you apprehensive about it? What worries you?
It's the emotional energy.
Yeah.
Really. I've got to spread that between the kids I teach, my own children, and me. And it's quite difficult. And to run a household and to cope with all the sort of day-to-day stuff, things going wrong in the car and whatever. I mean, I've just got to do it because we're moving into a home which is shared ownership, so I'm having a mortgage for the first time in my life.
Oh, that's
39 years of age.
Well, that's something to A, be excited about, and B, put a lot more pressure on your shoulders, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm really screwed if I mess this one up. Yeah, but it's good pressure, I suppose. But, kids looking forward to having a room each, and I'm just looking forward to having somewhere that I can call home. And I haven't got to think about letting agents and whether I can put things on the wall and if I can paint.
Oh, God, that whole nonsense. And all. How long's your tenancy? Is it like... Because tenancies now, when I was renting years ago, they were like 12 months, but now they're like 6 months.
They're 6 months now.
6 month tenancy. You can barely unpack by the time the tenancy's up. And yeah, they might extend it. They might keep extending it. But that uncertainty for 6 months, it's awful.
It is awful. I mean, I was told... we're actually moving out at the end of September because I was told the landlord's going to sell. And I only found out because I got a phone call from the sales department going, hello, we'd like to come round and value property. I was like, oh, really? That's the first I've heard about it. Thanks very much.
God.
So the letting agency and sales department obviously didn't really have much of a dialogue, but you're just a second-class citizen as a tenant.
Yeah.
You're not really... You're way down in the chain. So because I thought the landlord was settling, I sort of looked into this shared ownership thing and met the criteria, and
so what? How much? So that you buy a percentage of the house, and the government put up the rest. Is that right? And you rent it.
Housing association.
All right. Okay. Housing association. So how much of it will you actually own?
50%.
Okay.
So the house is 200,000. I get a mortgage for 90 with a 10. You've got to put 5% deposit in. So that's 10 grand that I borrowed. I haven't got that sort of money. And then you own half of it, and then you pay the housing association rent, which includes your building, contents, all that sort of insurance, etc. But you do have the opportunity to staircase, it's called, so you can buy 10% the next year and build yourself up until you own the whole thing.
Here's the thing: there'll be married couples or couples that are living together at home, thinking, "Gosh, that sounds awful. I'm glad it's not happening to us." But no one's got any idea what's round. No one knows what's round the corner. This could happen to any of us.
Smug, thinking, "Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to go out like all those women on the pool." And I've got my husband at home. Think, hang on a minute.
Yep.
What happened? He was actually out, with a groupie behind my back. So it's just round the corner.
It was a groupie, was it?
It's classic textbook stuff. My ex-husband was in a band with my brother.
Yeah.
And my brother was only in the band because my ex had slept with the previous keyboard player's wife.
Hang on a minute. I've got to say that again. Your brother was in the band because your ex-husband slept with the previous keyboard player's wife, so he left.
Yeah, because my ex-husband just slept with his wife.
Flip it.
And then my brother stepped into the new position.
Rock family trees.
So it's like alarm bells probably should have gone off at that point.
And what was it? Don't give us the name, but was it it wasn't a famous band, it was a covers band?
No, it was a covers band up in Leicester.
And covers bands get groupies?
Oh, hang on.
Or are you just being rude about his new partner just because that's what we do?
No, she was a groupie. I could think of many more words to describe her, and I think groupie is probably the most polite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was up in Leicester, and then my brother moved back, and my ex and I had kind of got together at my brother's wedding. He was with someone else. Again, alarm bells probably should have gone off. We got together, just got engaged after about 8 weeks or something. Obviously, it took a really long time to think about it. I think I was pregnant within about 3 months.
Hang on a minute. I'm lost on the timeline. So this is before you got married. You were going out with him, then you split up, and then you both went to your brother's wedding, but he was with someone else.
Right, let's go back. Okay, 2004.
Yeah.
My brother got married.
Yeah.
And my ex was with his with a girlfriend.
Right.
And we got together. But prior to that, my brother had only joined the band because my ex had screwed the previous keyboard player's wife.
Yeah.
And then we were together about 5-6 years. And then he did the dirty on me with someone that used to follow the band around.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were actually on Come Dine with me a couple of months
Well, don't give us any more clues, because I don't want to know. It's not fair to
You don't want to know anymore.
I've done Come Dine with me. Trust me, it's a flipping nightmare. It's a night. I did that programme with, who else was on it? Lembit Opik, Debbie McGee, and Jodie Marsh. Oh, it was the worst week of my life, it was, Sarah. It was bloody awful.
I'd love to see that. It's magical, bodybuilding. Just sounds great.
It was awful. I came last, and no way was I worst. Lembit Opik's was he did some crappy soup, and then he just cut up bits of Stilton and put it in there. That's not a meal.
No, it's not.
He cooked a banana in tin foil. Anyway, that's
probably a delicacy somewhere in the world.
Where is he from? I think he's Estonian, isn't he? I think it's probably a delicacy there. What are your kids into? What do they like?
They've grown out of One Direction. My youngest likes Taylor Swift, that sort of thing. My eldest is, she's a bit more academic, actually. She likes reading, so she's just read all the Hunger Games books.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
All 3 of them, and now she's sort of rereading the last few chapters of the last book because she doesn't want it to finish.
Oh, isn't that magical?
Yeah, it's lovely. She's like, Mummy, I've got to tell you about Katniss and Peter, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's a different language. It's It's great when they're like that. My eldest, I mean, mine are younger, 7 and 5, but my eldest is a proper little bookworm, and he's for Christmas I bought a box set of all the Secret 7 books because I used to, I used to love those as a kid, and it started off with me reading them to him. And then it got to the point where I wasn't reading them fast enough, so he would read them, and he finished them, and then I thought, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. I bought a box set of the Famous Five, all the Famous Five books.
All 21 of them.
Yeah, well, the thing is, there's a brilliant website. Is it the Book People? If you go to the Book People, right?
Yeah, they're coming to school, yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. You can get all these box sets that cost 50, 60, 70 quid on Amazon. You get them for like 15, 20 quid. Oh, so I bought all of the Famous Five. He's ploughing through those, and if I don't see him for a couple of days because of whatever, I'll get home and he'll go, Daddy, I'm halfway through book 5, and what's happened is, and he'll give me a little summary of the book, and it's brilliant.
Oh, that's great.
And
so he hasn't. Do you smirk still when he talks about Dick and Fanny, though?
Oh, yeah, of course. How could you not? And these are, I believe, these are the class, because they took all the Fanny out for a while.
Oh, what?
There was no more Fanny, but I believe, I think these are the ones where they've brought Fanny back. There has to be Fanny.
It's like I'm female because I could make a comment about that. But yeah, okay, bring the Fanny back. That's good.
Yeah, no, you've got to have a bit of Fanny. You really have. It's because it's wonderful.
Sure, you have.
So your kids. How are your kids doing? Are they it sounds like they're kind of well-grounded young people.
Yeah, they've done surprisingly well, actually.
Yeah.
All the rubbish that's been flying around. I mean, my parents are amazingly supportive. They've taken quite a role, and they negotiate and mediate between me and my ex. Well, my ex is Mrs. actually, because he's a spineless whatnot, so she does all the contact arrangements. But yeah, pretty grounded. My eldest has passed the 11 plus, and she's off to grammar school in September. So,
oh, brilliant!
As a single parent, I'm really chuffed about that.
I bet.
Yeah, my youngest. Yeah, they're chalk and cheese. They're completely different.
Yeah.
But that's great because one's into sort of creativity, and she's going to be some sort of graphic designer, and the other one's just got a nose in the book all the time. So, they're both going to do well.
Isn't it funny watching, that two people that have the same upbringing and have had pretty similar experiences, how different they become? Because my eldest is a bookworm. My youngest is a nut job who does little stand-up comedy routines. And they're both completely different. Yet they've shared so many life experiences. It was funny, isn't it?
It is odd. Yeah, they share the same genes and
all of that.
Yeah, but yeah, mine's the little one's a bit of a comedian. She just pulls a funny face, and everybody is in fits, and the eldest gets quite jealous about it.
Yeah.
But, it's great. I would prefer that than them both be identical. But then you get the whole, well, you just like Dad when you do that. But that's all part of it, isn't it?
This anger you've got towards your ex.
Yeah.
6 years on.
I know.
How are you feeling about that? About the anger, specifically?
It comes in waves, to be honest. Sometimes I don't think about it at all for months, but at the moment there's been quite a lot of argy-bargy between his ex and my mum. Oh, his missus, sorry.
Yeah.
And my mum. And she's incredibly rude, and there's no sort of sense of negotiation and compromise. It's just, I want this stamp. And we've been to court probably 4 times in the last 6 years. And the last time the magistrate just literally said, for God's sake, sort this out. I mean, it's simple. Half and half, just split it. Just get on with it. And it was she spoke to us quite condescendingly, and I was, I'm an educated person, degree, and I'm a teacher, etc. He's not got a lot going on between the ears, but it was quite clear that you can sort this out and just get on with it. We don't want to see you again. But she's stamping her feet and saying, well, just go back to court then if you want to.
Isn't it funny? I didn't ask about her. I asked about your ex. And it's you've honed in on her. Yeah,
that's because she's the integral part of the problem, really. I mean, he's always been a person led by by a strong woman. And he actually has something that I counseled a few years back, but we identified it as dependent personality disorder. So he's completely reliant on someone else and will go along with whatever they say, and he can't make decisions and leave things up to them, etc., etc. And that's basically, we found ourselves in a courtroom, and he didn't really know why he was there and what he had to do, because his missus had caused all the problems leading up to it. So he sort of had his crib sheet in front of him. I've got to say this. She's told me to say this. And it's caused a huge amount of problems. I think if it had just been left to the two parents, things could have moved on.
Sarah, we're out of time. I've really enjoyed chatting to you this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it as well.
I have, thank you very much, yeah. I had no idea I was going to ring you up until about 30 seconds before I did it, but
good for you.
There we go.
I wish you the best of luck with your girls. I wish you the best of luck with finding peace and happiness in your life, and I mean that genuinely.
Thank you very much.
Nice to talk to you, Sarah. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. There we go. Oh, I cut her off just saying goodbye. Sorry. There we go. Wow, what an intro. Thank you to everybody who called in. Thank you to the three people that came on. I really appreciate you, all of you, being really honest and really open and sharing way more stuff than I ever would. But thank you. Thank you to everyone that called up and everyone that got answered and everyone that didn't get answered. The phones went a bit crazy, then they kind of dropped off, and then just got that brilliant call at the end. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, dear listener, for letting me and Kath and Sam try different stuff from time to time. And we genuinely really appreciate the fact that you let us mess around with the format and let us do all kinds of stuff. Don't forget, this week, if the show's going well, we could potentially have a lock-in. Or we may not. If the show's not cooking with gas, we may not have a lock-in. Kath, you need to watch Sam's fingers over the next few minutes, because he's going to teach you, because he's got crawling hands, but also he's going to teach you how to hand it over to Talk Sport in case we do have a lock-in this week, because Sam gets to go home. I couldn't possibly ask him to stay any longer. Tonight, Tuesday, 10 o'clock, back to the usual nonsense, random phone calls, probably Caddick phoning in as well at some point. Thank you, everyone. Till tonight, ta-ta.